we good to go?
Yeah, you have to. You're the host now. You have to do a host
Okay.
intro.
All right. So I am your humble game master for this game of Kids on Bikes. As opposed to our normal game master Andrew, because of some computer malfunctions and technical problems, I'm going to be running what seems to be free shot in the game Kids on Bikes, or game system Kids on Bikes. At this point, I think before introducing the setting, I would have everybody introduce their characters in a brief description first, and we will let the town as you guys know it speak for itself. So, we'll start from top left going down. Andrew, tell us a little bit about your character.
I'm playing Jasmine. They're known as Jazz. They are a 16-year-old. I think we had said junior, just starting junior year, or not just starting, halfway through junior year, in the town of Stein Falls. They are, dark black hair, usually up or kind of medium length. Pretty tan skin, despite the fact that we live in Northern California, where it's a little bit more rainier. They've got a permanent deep tan going on, given that, at least on one side of their family, they are El Salvadorian. But they are fourth generation American, so they don't speak any Spanish and get annoyed when people assume that they do. They want desperately to be in a band and get out of this stupid town, but they, still too young for all that. Their best friend for years has been Kevin, who is played by one of the other characters, which, if you're looking at the stream, you can probably figure that out. Their mother passed away in a car accident a few years back, and their dad works abroad. So up until this last semester, it had been Jazz and their sister. However, their sister has now moved to go to college in the nearby city and only visits, once or twice a week, mostly on the weekends. They work at a movie theater, mainly just for the extra spending money, because their dad really only pays the bills and gives them enough for food and stuff. So for a teenager, they're pretty okay in that regard. They are the funny person in class. They are the jokester. They pull the pranks. Very sarcastic. A lot of the teachers don't like them very much because they can easily derail the class when they want to. And they're an expert at getting away with things that they really shouldn't be able to get away with, whether at work or at school, because of their ability to talk their way out of situations. I think that's basically it. I don't know how much, because we're going to be doing some roles.
Yeah. Andrew's a pretty good example. Who they are, a little bit about them, what they do in town, maybe a little bit, and some of their more defining characteristics. I think you nailed it pretty well. Okay. Charlie, do you want to tell us a little bit about Algie?
So, Algernon, you can call him Algie because, well, everyone else does, is 10 years old, and he is just recently discovering himself without a friends group, because he has always been the kind of hang-around kid for his older twin siblings, who, in the tradition of some families who have a sudden surprise child a decade after their other kids, just kind of offloaded his care. And so the twins have always looked after him, and now they're off to college. He can't go hang out with his friends anymore. And instead of thinking, oh, I should stop camping in the woods alone at night because my older siblings are no longer here to watch me, and I am a scrawny boy with not an ounce of muscle, he's like, it's gonna be okay. Spoiler, it was not okay.
Jack, would you like to introduce Casey?
Yeah, Casey is kind of. She's 18. She's on that like cusp of going from. Hang on, my gain is extremely high on my microphone. She's on that cusp of like going from being in school and like having a really rigid structure to not really knowing what to do with her life. She's extremely smart but doesn't care at all about school or any of the things that she got taught there. So she was friends with the twins and also Jasmine's older sister, who have all gone off to college, and she's stuck here as like the last vestige of her the previous year's graduating class. She's currently working the extreme graveyard shift at a radio station in town. She's got light brunette hair, very pale skin. She's very pretty. She's often, lately in particular, smoking because she sees it as like the next step towards adulthood, and the guy she works with at the radio station smokes. So she's like, well, if I'm going to be an adult, I got to wear the adult uniform of cigarettes. But yeah, she's really just at a loss with what to do at the moment. But she has been starting to learn a little bit about stuff that people don't really talk about in the town. And recently stuff's been happening for her as well that she doesn't really talk about to anyone. Not that she has many people left to talk to, but...
Alright. Marissa, would you like to introduce Elliot?
Sure, yeah. So I'm playing Elliot, who is also a teenager. He's 16. He's considered to be like the school bully and is also very much a loner. He is like decent looking. He's tall and like super bulky, but he's constantly wearing like wrinkled clothes. He has like dirt under his fingernails and just kind of looks disheveled. And he was considered to be kind of a loner for a long time. He was friends with Algie's siblings, but in the course of a couple years went from being in their friend group to suddenly not. And his reputation kind of as a bully started when there was a rumor that he trapped Algie in a pit in the woods. And people think that now he's aggressive and dangerous. He's been known to steal occasionally from a local convenience store, but people are too scared to confront him. And no one really knows what he does in his free time. There are rumors that he hangs out in the woods, but it's like he shows up at school and then disappears.
All right. And last but certainly not least, Sean, if you would introduce darling Kevin.
Hey everybody, I'm Sean. I'll be playing Kevin this evening. Kevin is your stereotypical middle child who supporting the family has become his main job. He is still enrolled in high school and everything, but he's been known to cut class in order to take part-time or odd jobs in order to keep his family afloat. He does have a standing part-time job at the local record store, but that's not enough to support the single mom income that we have in the house. My older sister, of course, is the golden child. She's captain of the swim team and brilliant, and obviously she's going to go to a good college, so she can't be burdened with working, so it falls to me. And taking care of my family, and especially my little brother, is the most important thing to me, making sure that they're okay. If you saw him, he'd probably have a determined look on his face and be power walking to wherever he got the call for the next odd job that he can do in town is. Threadbare clothes, but his work bag is pretty high quality, and he's always got that with him in case he needs to go on a job that requires tools or something.
All right. So I think we're going to start this off with the questions. And I'm going to roll a die in the background, and if I get a 6, I'll re-roll it for who we're going to start with. Okay, so fourth person. So we're going to start with Jack. Okay. We're going to start with Casey's questions. So, if you would, we're going to start from the top down. Your first question is going to be about Andrew's character. So roll me a d20 and tell me your result.
A 2.
Okay. Do you think these two? Do you think you know Andrew's character? Do you think Casey has met them before? Is familiar?
Yeah, I think probably Jasmine's sister and Casey were like in the same like friend group, so maybe Casey's known Jazz for a long time, but not like the annoying little sister. It's just like, well, you're here when like I come over, but you're like very peripheral.
Do you think you'd consider them to have a more negative or positive relationship?
Positive, because her sister's pretty cool. So like,
what do you admire about this character but would never tell them? So what does Casey see in Jazz that they would never mention in a regular conversation?
I think for all of the cool girl high school experience that Casey had, there's something so unattainable about the way in which Jazz can be comfortable with anyone. Like, Casey could never be best friends with a guy for a long period of time. And she sees that as a failing on her as a person. So she thinks that, like, one of the best things about Jazz is, like, that no matter who it is, she can just be herself and be, like, comfortable with them in a way that is probably slightly irritating to Casey.
All right, and then I want you all to meet. I have a fourth table that I have for sort of miscellaneous questions, and each of you guys are going to get one of these. Would you roll me that? Another d20.
Sure. An 11.
Okay. Okay, and then you're gonna pick the character. Okay. When did you see another character in a moment of genuine terror, morality, or peril?
I think it was definitely Algernon, because Casey, probably of all the characters, is the one that is awake during the night the most, and probably one of the nights that she's just like maybe wandering, like smoking on her way to work. I think she might have seen Algernon just like full terrified, like sprinting out of the woods. But like she had work to get to, and while she's fairly compassionate, she knows enough about this town to know that not every screaming, sprinting child is one that you need to follow, and I think she probably doesn't know Algernon at all. So it's just like, that could be anything. I'm going to assume that was my imagination, I'm going to move on. But I think she'll come to realize that it was just Algernon having a really terrifying moment.
Okay. And then we're going to do Algernon second. So, do you think, even though they've seen Algernon once, do you think this is a character you don't know?
Yes.
Okay. Roll me another d20 then.
Alright. 18.
Okay. Oh, this one's interesting. What is this character doing to threaten their family's reputation?
She doesn't go to church, which might be important. Her mum wears a cross, but they never talk about it. But the main thing, I think, is that she's actively trying to rebel against parents that are disinterested at best. So she's very happy to make them look bad by association to her. The fact that she's working the graveyard shift at the radio station, the fact that she didn't go to college, like, she wants, to some extent, she's still, while being 18, she's still that rebellious teen that's like, well, actually see the rebelling that I'm doing and acknowledge the rebelling that I'm doing, please, because it's important. but her parents never acknowledge anything. So everything she does is like in service of that relationship, where she's like, I want this relationship to be something, and currently it's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is a continuing trend for this part. Roll me another d20, and this time it's going to be about Elliot. You think Casey has met Elliot before?
Probably in passing, because the age difference isn't that significant, but not. No, actually, yeah, I think Casey has met Elliot before. I think maybe they live close to each other, if that's fine with Elliot.
That's your prerogative to say.
Yeah, sure. Then they live close to each other, and that they've kind of like known each other as neighbors.
Okay.
I got a 3.
Do you think Casey has a negative or positive association with Elliot?
I think it's interesting if Casey has a positive, experience with Elliot, because I think maybe it just means that Elliot hasn't, like the whole bullying thing. It's past Casey's time. She's like, that's all childish stuff. So she's just like, this is a guy that I've known for like a decade.
I really love the question you got for this. What great kindness did this character do for you that they don't even remember but you do?
Absolutely. When they were like, there's only a 2-year age difference. Like when she was 11 and Elliot was 9, and there was like this. Her family at some point was trying to be really social with everybody, so they'd invite all the neighbor families around, and like they'd have to deal with stuff. And she had like a really bad day at school, and I think she like fully snapped really angrily, but not at her parents, at one of Elliot's parents. And she remembers that like in that moment Elliot like did something. She doesn't even remember what it was, but she remembers him like starting a shouting match with like somebody and just detracting completely from what she'd done, and it made her like bad day much better. She feels bad about it probably now, like 7 years later, that Elliot was very like took essentially the bullet of that being in trouble for her.
Okay. And lastly, do you think Casey knows Kevin all that well?
Yeah, probably not as well as Jazz or Elliot, so no.
Okay, so do you want to do character you don't know or character you know?
A character I don't know, sorry.
Okay, D20 now.
19.
Oh, this one's fun. What scandal in town was this character involved with?
Well, I mean, everybody thinks that he's stringing Jazz along, right? Like, it's clear that that's the case. We used to talk about it all the time, like how they were best friends and like Jazz is so open and giving and Kevin's just stringing along Jazz. That's just the way that it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, that's pretty great. I want to say one of the other acceptable answers to those kind of questions is I have had people say things like, there's a rumor in town that this small child is the one that killed their dead parents. Do not be afraid to throw wild shit on the table. I think Jack did a great example of that. I think that they're leading me on, or the town thinks that they're leading me on, that kind of thing. Don't be afraid to throw a curveball. Okay. I rolled a 1, so Andrew, we're gonna start with Jazz, with other people. We're going to go to, do you think Jazz knows Algernon?
I was still looking at the thing. I'm gonna say no. I think that we're a small town. I think they know of them, but like they're a couple grades below and kind of awkward. So,
all right,
not really. Probably the extent of the relationship is like Algernon comes to see movies sometimes. So,
All right. Give me a d20.
All right. I got a 1. Off to a strong
Okay.
start.
Okay, so what good thing have you heard about this character that you can't believe is true?
That's an interesting one. Um, what good thing have I heard about this character that I can't believe is true? I think that maybe Jazz has heard that they're. No, this is a hard one. This is like right off the bat, because my gut instinct was to say like, oh, that they're a really good kisser because that's something that they wouldn't expect. But I feel like that's weird for them to know
I feel
that.
like we should commit it. I feel like that's hilarious if that's a rumor about a middle schooler that has spread that far.
Yeah.
They've learned the
I'm gonna
secrets
go
of the
with
forest.
that. That was the first thing I came to mind.
Especially Algernon, because y'all seen his face, right? Like he's this awkward kid.
Can't think of anything else because it can't be like that they're smart or something like that because that's all like super believable.
You could. So an example would be like you've heard they've rescued someone's dog from their burning house, right? Or like you heard that like what do you call it? When like something went down with their mom, they were the first to support like like something like the whole town would hear about. Tiny rumors spread far. But I do think the kissing thing is pretty good.
I'm gonna stay with what my gut said because I think that's funny and it's weird and definitely not believable.
Okay. No, I don't know if you told. Does Jazz know Casey?
Yes, well,
Okay.
because he knows Jazz.
Okay. So do you want to do positive or negative?
I'm gonna say positive.
Okay. Roll me d20.
All right, that's a 20.
Okay. I really like this one. What item did this character give you that you treasure?
I don't know like enough about how music was made in the 90s, but like something like an old like recording device of some kind, but like professional quality that they used at the radio station that they don't need anymore because they like just upgraded or something like that. I can't think of what that thing specifically would be, but like something, and it's like bulky. It's not like something they carry with them, but it's something that they like stuck in the garage and normally wouldn't be able to afford without like saving up for several months.
An audio converter?
Yeah, something like that. Something that you use to record. Like I said, I'm not good with Marissa. Maybe help me out.
Yeah, Marissa, also you're muted, if you haven't noticed.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm
They're always
restraining my
muted.
cackling.
Yeah.
They refuse to let us hear the laughter.
I mean, it's good you're unmuted, because do you think, and if you don't think so, initially, if you hadn't written it down, I want people to consider, do you think Jazz has met Elliot before? Do they know each other at all?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Are you asking me again?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Does Jazz know Elliot?
Yes, because they're in the same grade and it's not that big a place. So they definitely like encountered each other a lot throughout their lives.
I would hazard a guess it's negative relationship, but do you think it could be positive?
I'm gonna go with positive because I think that Jazz doesn't have that many people that like they don't get along with. It's not like that they're best friends or anything, but just that they don't think that as badly as other people do.
Okay. Roll me d20.
That's a 7. With me.
I think, okay, I can kind of guess what you're going to say for this one, but what plan do you and this character have that most excites you?
Okay. I think it has to be that Elliot plays the drums, right? Like that's what it's got to be.
Sure, Elliot plays the drums.
Yeah.
Elliot is like that like kid in band that like doesn't say anything, comes and makes some good music, and then just like disappears.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how that relationship like began. Is that Jazz like needs a drummer?
All right. And then definitely I can guess with Kevin, you're gonna roll positive that you know him, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, roll me that d20.
I got a 1 again. Do you want me to re-roll?
No, you can keep the one. Okay. Um. Since it's different tables. Okay. What did this character do for you that makes you owe them a debt you can't repay?
Hmm. Good
This
one.
one very fitting.
Yeah, I think it's got to be like something like that happened in like elementary or middle school. Um, hmm. Maybe
What about a first instrument?
that could be a good one. I was more thinking of like something to do with like uh, Jazz being like bullied at the time. Um, uh, for quote unquote liking girls as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
liking boys.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's both, right? Like Jez didn't realize that that was like not usual at first, or like at least at the time not socially acceptable, um, and was like picked on because one day during class in like the 5th grade or something, everyone was going around being like, "Oh, who's your crush? Like, who do you like?" And Jazz was like, "Oh, well, I like I'm trying to think of another name, Jennifer." And everyone's like, "You can't like Jennifer. She's a girl. What are you talking about?" And Kevin was like, "No, man. Like they can like whoever they want." And then afterwards, that's how they started talking. And maybe Kevin's dad had an old guitar that they gave to Jazz or something like that. I don't know. Sean, let me know what you were feeling about this.
Oh, I am unmuted. Good. I feel like that would work. Yeah, no, I feel like our money problems came after Dad died, so we
Okay.
would have been able to give away a guitar years back, and it makes Kevin happy to see it being played.
Okay. For this last one, full disclosure, I did make a full d20 table for each character.
My God,
So
you
I want you to roll
beast!
me a d20 and see what you get, because I'm going to use this later throughout the 3 shots to see if it comes up
Okay.
again.
This is a big one, I feel like. 16.
Okay. I will say a few of these are tailored to Kevin, and this is one of the ones I'd hoped would come up, because I think you guys have an interesting dynamic.
Okay.
You said you and Kevin have known each other for a while, right? Like you've known each other since elementary school.
Yeah, because like we were in the same grades and we went to the same elementary school kind of thing. And I think that's part of like Kevin's issues is that we were both in the same like kind of middle upper class ish neighborhood. But now they don't have that income that they used to, but like Jazz still does because their mom didn't work even beforehand.
Okay. This will be sort of a character backstory pull, but where was Kevin when Jazz's mom died?
Um, My idea was that like Jazz was in the car. So I think it would be interesting if Kevin was also in the car, like they were going somewhere together at the same time, or like they maybe like it was back home from school. Like Jazz's mom was the one who would pick them up because she didn't work. Um, so like we were on our way home from school and we got in a car accident, basically.
All right.
That would be my idea.
And there is a second half to the question now that you've answered it. And I think you gave a great answer for this. And why do you feel like Kevin was partially responsible and he was there?
Oh wow.
Even if it's not fully rational.
I think it's got to be like maybe you feel free to veto this because I feel like I'm also like taking some of the blame off. I think it's like they were making too much noise in the back seat, both of them together, doing whatever it is that because we were I think in my imagination we were like 12 at the time, so whatever 12-year-olds do that's super annoying. Or maybe we were having a fight for some weird reason, something stupid, not like a good reason. And so Jazz's mom like turned around, and in that moment is when the accident happened. So like at least Jazz feels like it's their fault. Like if they weren't doing that at the time, then the accident wouldn't have happened.
I really like that answer. That's a good spicy answer. Okay. As sort of a shift, we're gonna do Algernon now.
Man, that was heavy.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, Casey's stuff is all like, yeah, I'm a popular kid, and you're like, well, Kevin caused my mum's death. Bye.
Hey, don't worry. Algernon is 10. Like, how worse? His can't be that bad. Like,
Okay.
Fine. We're looking up. Positivity.
Okay. So I'm gonna start with Algernon's unique D20 table first. Because I think it will impact how you answer some of the other questions. So I need you to roll me your D20.
All right. 19.
Whatever you saw in that pit reminded you of one of the other characters. Either you saw their face or some part of them. Who was it and why?
So can I slightly convert this one, because my thinking is Algie, as he was charging out of his tent, falling into this pit, he lost his glasses, so he was blind as a fucking bat, and all he could do is hear and smell.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, he also, so like backstory stuff, like we already know that Elliot found him. So is this in addition to Elliot?
Yes.
Okay.
It can be that you think Elliot was also down there for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
All right. Jack, did you say Casey used to hang out with the twins?
Yeah.
So he smelled perfume that reminded him of one of his like sister's like friends, like a scent, not necessarily a perfume. And he doesn't really connect it to KC, but then of course as he was charging out of the woods he probably also smelled it, and so that smell is in the back of his head, kind of haunting him, like is this the creature?
All right. Now we're gonna do Algernon. You said Algernon and Jazz don't really know each other, right? Okay. Roll me your D20 then. You always have the dynamic though to choose. You could say Algernon knows Jazz, but Jazz doesn't know Algernon.
Jazz wasn't hanging around the twins or Elliot at any point, was she?
We established that Elliot and Jazz like know each other through.
Oh yeah, y'all were the neighbors. Yeah, okay,
in
the band.
Gonna...
So yeah, he knows of Jasmine, but not like well, just kind of like creepy middle schooler palling around watching people.
So, I'm going to impose the one you rolled on the character you don't know, a slight modification to it. And I also want to give you the chance to reroll.
Okay.
Okay. What terrible loss did this character suffer in regards to Jazz? But I want it to be about something other than the mother.
Okay.
You can also choose to just simply reroll because this one's kind of a hardball question.
Let me think for a moment to see if I could come up with something worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
So I think and also feel free to veto this, Andrew, because it kind of like significantly changes Jazz's experience. But I think in the chaos surrounding this is just pouring onto Jasmine's misery. In the chaos surrounding Jasmine's accident, whenever people went into the house to say, hey, this is what has happened, the door was left open and Jasmine's cat vanished.
Wow. I'm okay with it. That's a hard day for a 12-year-old.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Okay. So I don't want to keep piling on this question, but the reason I'm not assuming here is because I will assume the wrong thing sometimes. Does Algernon know Casey?
Yeah, since Casey was hanging out with the twins, he probably, even if Casey doesn't know him pretty well, he probably is pretty familiar with Casey.
Okay. Do you think they think of Casey positively or negatively?
Casey is aloof and is smoking now and is on the radio show. So even though they haven't been in the same space, Algie's opinion is actually like improving every time he kind of like sees Casey at a distance. He's like, man.
Okay. So positive or negative? I want to give you the choice because I could still see positive from that in a very weird way, but
positive, but he also feels bummed that Casey doesn't care. So like,
okay.
But it is positive.
All right, roll me the d20 then.
Okay. 9.
What is the kindest thing this character has ever done for you? And Casey has shaped that to be a really nice person so far.
She's meant to be a very nice person. Like, she's meant to just be the nice, cool kid.
Yeah. What is the nicest thing this character has ever done for you?
So Algie remembers being very young and having, being upset because his parents aren't paying attention to him, but the twins are supposed to be looking after him, but they're still very young and kind of prone to very neglectful mistakes. And so he's sitting there crying because they have gone off to play instead of, making sure that he's fed for the afternoon. And Casey's just like, come with us, and hands him a chocolate bar. And it's just a simple, like, side off thing. It's not even a meal, but he kept that wrapper and it's kind of like pasted into the like lining of his Trapper Keeper sort of binder.
I love that. That's super cute. Okay. Do you think Algernon knows Elliot? I can see a way they would know each other.
Yeah, Algernon knows Elliot very, very well.
Do you want to roll on the negative table?
Yeah, let's roll on the negative table.
All right, give me that d20.
All right. 18.
I really love this setup. You got an 18?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this is great, actually. I want to remind you, the other person does not have to remember these things.
Okay.
Or even knows that you were the one who did it. But the question is, you hurt this character years ago. Why can't you apologize?
All right. So we established that Elliot was good friends at one point with the twins. And then very abruptly, they turned on him. And while Elliot doesn't know it, it's Algie that told Mallory to go into the room to chat with Elliot at
The
a very
disrespect.
sensitive moment.
Okay.
And it was a sensitive moment indeed.
Yeah, you better hope that Elliot doesn't find out about that.
All right. And last but not least, do you think Algernon would have any reason to know Kevin? Do you think Kevin was nice to Algernon in the past and it just happened?
I don't. Kevin's a lot older. Does Kevin have a younger sibling? You said.
Yes.
Okay, so he knows that how old is his sibling?
Middle school age.
Okay, yeah, so he knows his sibling, and he knows of Kevin from that, but he's not like spent time with him.
Okay.
He sees him in the pickup line, so to speak.
All right. So do you want to roll positive or don't know them?
Let's roll don't know them.
Okay, give me that d20.
14.
Who does this character have a very public feud with? You can invent a townsperson. You can say their boss. You can say that they have it with the principal of the school, of a teacher, anyone.
Give me my 4,000 words slow burn enemies to lovers right fucking now, Charlie.
I'll also offer you there is another school bully that is around Kevin's age that I have. So there's that. But otherwise, it's up to you.
So, the middle school music teacher was really mean at one point to his little brother. And so Algie remembers sitting in class or like after school in a club one day when Kevin walked in and was like, "Is this the guy? This is the guy." And just laid into this teacher like he thought he was a full-ass adult. And Algernon just thinks, wow, I wish I could do that one day.
I absolutely love that. That is
based on a
That's
true
on brand.
story, y'all.
That's really on brand.
Okay. We're gonna have Elliot go next.
Okay.
Elliot, I'm gonna offer you two things.
Okay.
Do you want to do your special table first or last?
By the way, don't forget to put your rolls in the roll thing.
Yeah. Do you want to do? Because I will say a lot of the answers will be impacted by it.
Okay, then let's do that one first.
Okay. So you want to do the special table first?
Yeah, and I got an 11.
Okay. Looking through 1 second. Okay. Elliot has gone to a fortune teller before, through some means, and when he went to the fortune teller, they were told that in their future, something terrible would happen to them. What was the event that they were told was going to happen?
Okay. So I'm going to say that this happened after Elliot's mom died. And I'm going to say... Oh, that's a hard one.
It could be something as simple as that they are to die young, or that someone they care about will pass away, but it is a terrible fate they are to endure.
I will say that it's... Yeah, I'll say that they were to lose a friend, but it wasn't implied whether the friend died or stops being their friend.
Okay, and then the second half of the question is the fortune teller also told them that they will gain great fortune in some capacity in the same manner, and that this event would somehow be related. You don't have to elaborate, but it's one of those things that they were told is related to a friend will pass away, and from it, great fortune will happen. Okay, so from that, we're gonna do from the top. Okay, Elliot, does Elliot know jazz very well?
Yeah.
Positive or negative?
Positive.
All right, roll me the d20.
That was an 11 again.
Okay, what lengths would you go in order to defend this character?
So I would say, and Andrew, you said that Elliot is in like Jazz's personal band, or they're in band in school together.
Probably both, I think. But the band that we have, like, is the personal band, is like, I think at the moment, just me and you. I think that like Jazz really wants Kevin to be the singer, but Kevin doesn't have time.
Okay.
And they don't have a bass player. Jazz doesn't know anybody who plays bass.
Okay. So I will say, actually, Sarah, can you repeat the question?
What lengths would you go in order to defend this character?
Okay, so I'll say I think it's funny that the idea that Jazz asked Kevin to be in the band not because they're friends, but because asked Elliot to be in the band not because they're actually close friends, but Elliot is just the best drummer. So I'll say that like probably band practices are pretty awkward, but since Jazz is really the only person that talks to Elliot, I think Elliot would like very easily throw hands to protect Jazz. Like it would be on site. I don't think Elliot would have ever said that, but I think that if it came to it, like Elliot would just like immediately start throwing hands, no questions.
Okay. I'm gonna say you definitely can't roll a character you don't know for Algernon.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely negative association on that one.
All right, roll me that d20.
That one was a 9.
Okay. Oh my god, I love this one. This one always gets great answers. What's the most dishonest thing you've seen this character do?
Oh.
This is where I've gotten answers about they lied on a math test, or like you think they killed their parent. Like the range of answers you can get from this is insane.
I'm trying to think about like Algie's personality, like outside of Elliot's relationship with Algie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that Elliot once caught Algie reading Algie's sister's diary. Like Elliot was over one day and just like happened to see that. I think you said that the sister is Mallory, so Elliot saw Algie reading Mallory's diary.
All right. It's sort of a reverse on the question, but I like it. I think it's a fun way to do it. Okay. Algie and Casey don't know each other. That's pretty established.
It sounded based on what Jack
Elliot
said that
and
they like
Casey do know
of
each
each other.
Like,
Yeah.
from Casey's side,
Not-
because they're friends in the neighborhood, but Elliot could do nothing of that.
Okay.
I'll say that Elliot is like not really close to Casey, but knows Casey, and I'll say is Casey like working at the radio station as like staff, or is Casey actually have like a show?
She pushes the buttons for the guy that has the show, and sometimes is forced to speak to wake him up, or to keep him back on track when he starts talking about like people with alligator heads for arms, which is just not a real thing.
Okay.
Sometimes he's drunk.
I'll say that that Elliot has interacted with Casey before, mostly because like if their parents are like hanging out and they just kind of end up like hanging out. But I'll say that Elliot also knows of Casey from the radio station. Like they'll listen sometimes late at night and like occasionally Casey pop up.
That sounds closer to positive, if I'm reading it correctly, though.
Yeah, I think that would be positive.
All right, roll me the d20.
Okay. That's a 5.
Oh, I like this one. Why do you care about this character more than they care about you?
I will say that from hearing Casey occasionally on the radio, Elliot has kind of grown fond of Casey, not in a romantic way, but just like thinking that her occasional appearances on the radio are like kind of funny. So like in his brain, Elliot just associates Casey with this like conspiracy theory type show that he likes, but
All right.
he doesn't actually talk to Casey like out and about.
Okay, does Elliot know Kevin all that well?
I think they're in the same grade, so yeah.
Okay, positive or negative?
I'm gonna go with negative.
Okay, I like that. Roll me a d20.
That one was a 6.
Oh, what is this character doing, either knowingly or unknowingly, that hurts you?
Can I
Kevin?
offer a suggestion?
Sure, yeah.
'Cause
Offer a suggestion.
I think it would be hilarious if Elliot doesn't know about Jazz's sexual preferences and is one of those people who thinks that they're dating Kevin, but you like Jazz. I
Wait,
totally
hold
doesn't
on.
have
Is the
to be
rumor
it.
that you and I
That
are
was just-
dating, or is the rumor that I am just got that fishing reel and hooking you along, babe? Like, which one?
The rumor is that you are doing the second thing.
Either or.
Okay, I might have to change that slightly for reasons, but I am gonna say
Or
that
the other way around. I'm happy for it to be the other way.
I'm gonna say that Elliot is upset that Kevin likes Jazz. I'll phrase it that way.
Okay, I really like that. I really like that. I love that. I love that shit. Okay. Last but certainly not least, Kevin.
The heteronormativity in this bitch is just.
I'm gonna have you roll. I'm gonna have you roll your special table first, but I'm gonna tell you it's modifying a singular question that all of these stem from. Okay. Kevin has recently found a way to make a significant amount of money, enough so that he believes it could rescue him from his despair. The nature of this, however, will be determined by the d20. Okay. Pick a character. You know you could make a significant amount of money, more so than enough to get out of your financial woes. This could be getting a job or something else. But pick a character, however, acquiring this money or this job will come at their expense. What is the expense?
Oh.
And I do have an offer for what it could be.
I hold back on that because there's like.
If you've got a good spicy thought, go for it.
Elliot, which one of your parents is still in the picture?
Mom is dead. Dad is still around.
You're young enough. You're young enough. You'd probably get put in foster care if your dad got picked up on charges, right?
Yeah, 16.
Someone wants to plant evidence that Elliot's dad committing a felony for some reason, and if I plant the evidence, Elliot's dad is going to federal prison.
Oh
for
my god.
Not an insignificant period of time. And Elliot's got no other family, right?
Nope, just
Okay.
the dad. Only child.
All right.
Oh my god.
And then I do have a secondary one for Kevin before you roll too, because I really liked Kevin and I think they're a good character. So I'm gonna have you
thank
roll
you.
since you guys know each other pretty well, if it's okay. This one is a little bit modified from the traditional one. This would be your question normally for Jazz, but I want to ask: do you want to roll a character you don't know, and it's a thing you heard about them before you guys knew each other?
So this would be something I knew about Jazz before we were
Yeah.
good friends?
Yeah, before you, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good to do something like that. And it's just like you don't want to roll, you just want what do I know about them before?
Roll a d20 and we're going to roll the character you don't know, and it's going to be, as a kid, what was the first thing you heard about Jazz? Like
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm not following the chain of custody on this.
Okay, so the idea is Kevin and Jazz know each other pretty well, right?
Yeah.
And they met pretty young, right?
Yes, very young.
This would be you're rolling on the character you don't know table. Right before you met, this question would apply to what you'd heard about Jazz before you started being friends.
Okay, 12.
Okay. Oh, okay, this one's good. Before you met Jazz, what did you hope to gain by humiliating this relative stranger?
Wow.
As a kid. I'm sorry Kevin's getting all these dark questions.
Y'all's relationship is so
No,
messy.
I wanna. It's
Interesting.
like I'm lightening it up a bit, but this is only because I was one of these kids. Did anyone else get married in kindergarten at the P's and Q's wedding?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
I was a
married.
bridesmaid at kindergarten weddings.
What was her name? Cassie. It was Cassidy something. It doesn't matter right here.
Why do you remember
We were
this?
supposed. I don't fucking. I grew up in a town that like you were in the same class together like the whole way through. So like I just no. This is why my mother, God bless her, wonderful woman, would always want to go. Oh my God, Cassandra, do you remember when you married my son? And I'm like, thanks, Mom. I'm 14 and have acne in places it shouldn't exist. Why are you talking to women on my behalf? I can't talk to women on my behalf.
All right.
Oh shit! Wait, are we streaming this? Okay, never mind.
Yes.
No.
Yes, we are.
But yeah, we were supposed to get married. We were supposed to get married, Jazz, and I didn't want to get married to you. I wanted to get married to.
You could say one of the older kids.
No, I was gonna say I had a crush on the kindergarten teacher's teaching assistant. You know, because I was a little elementary school kid. So I wanted to get married to her. So my plan was to embarrass you enough that you drop out and the teaching assistant would have to step in and do the wedding. But it didn't work. And then I decided I didn't want to file for divorce. So I joke in public that we already got married, so I don't need to do anything for our relationship. And that's partly why there's all of these rumors that I'm just stringing you along.
Oh my
no, I
God.
like that one. That's
Full
funny.
circle.
Okay. Kevin doesn't know algae very well, right?
No. Most I would have is like when we're doing the dumping runs in the middle of the night, we know to avoid that fucking weird little redheaded kid. But like he always camps in a known spot. So and he's a proper little scout, so he's got the little fucking glow sticks marking his campsite, so we just fucking ignore that weirdo.
All right, give me a d20.
1 second. I'm writing backstory because I have the memory of a goldfish. I married in kindergarten.
Yeah, Cassandra.
To marry. Yeah, the TA's name was Cassandra. Perfect. It all comes full circle. Okay, perfect. It was Cassie Steets. That was her name. I just doxed somebody in this stream, but I remember the first and last name. God damn. All right, awesome. Algie, time to shine. 9.
What volunteer work have you heard this character does?
Oh God, they think that they can do their Eagle Scout badge like years early, so they're already building shitty benches in the park. No, they're building like chairs in the woods to practice, and there's just these creepy fucking chairs left around the woods. and they think it's practicing for their Eagle Scout thing, but it's just creeping us the fuck out.
I fucking
That
love
is the
that.
most Eagle Scout thing I've ever heard.
Okay. Okay. Kevin knows KC, right? I'm getting that correctly. They've met.
Yeah, like I know them in the they're the older. We haven't been able to like hang out in a couple of years because of the work and everything, but I'm up late. It's not uncommon probably for like Casey coming off of night shift and whatever else, and me like going out for a job or something to run into each other at the convenience store or something and like know each other.
Do you want to do positive, negative, or don't know?
Let's go with flip a coin for it. Negative.
All right. D20.
8.
Oh my god.
Something
What
about my
role
mom
did
again.
you play in the worst day of your life?
So worst day of my life could be when Dad died, but I think there's something else. There's got to be something else.
It could be
You-
when Jazz's mom died.
Yeah, you were in the car when she
Yeah.
died.
Yeah. So what role did they play in the worst day of my life?
Mhm. Did they say something that pissed you off that started the argument in the back of the car?
No, I don't think that would have made sense. I don't think because I think it works better if it's just Jazz and I in the
Mhm.
car. But at the was Casey kind of were they an asshole when they were a younger teen, Jack?
No, she's like just almost always nice, but also like she was friends with the cool kids, so like sometimes she could definitely say something mean if like the situation called for it.
I will say this question could also be the role doesn't say they have to play a negative role in your life despite being on the table, or they had to play a negative role in the day. Just that they were involved and associate them with it is my own.
They were involved in a negative experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe they were also there for the negative experience, and
I can't listen to night radio because if her voice comes on, I remember like maybe before she worked for the radio station and anything else, there was a job or maybe like worked part-time or like had some connection to 911 emergency response. So being in the ambulance and listening to the chatter, her voice was on the chatter. And now I can't listen to night radio in case her voice comes on. And it brings me back to that night.
All right.
But it's only over, like when there's the static of the radio and the hiss of the transponder. It's only that. I can talk with her in person, but if I hear her voice come on the fucking radio, I can't handle it.
Can I ask one switch to that? And it's that the voice you heard was her mum, but they have incredible, like they just have very similar voices.
That makes total
and she
sense.
will like never understand what you're talking about if it ever comes up. But she's just like, yeah, my mum works in like the hospital, like sometimes.
All right, and this will be the cleanup question before we launch into everything. Kevin and Elliot, you guys know each other.
We definitely do. Yeah. I want to go positive on this, especially with you being like a bully and whatnot. I like being the protective guy, but why do I have a positive with the bully?
Even though Elliot has a negative association with you?
Yeah, I don't know what your fucking beef is. Like this whole I already married her. What more do you want from me? Jeez.
I already killed another character's mom, man. I'm good.
Fucking off the mom, the sister's available, I'm engaged. Let's fucking party, kids.
Yeah. All right.
19.
What's your first memory of this character?
Oh, sweet. Was it Elliot who got my dad's guitar, or was it Jazz?
Jazz.
It was Jess.
Jazz. Gotcha. Elliot, Kevin. Jeez.
I think Elliot was the one who had your younger sibling was in the same class. Right?
Sorry, what was that?
That was Algie.
Elliot's the one who's that was Algie? Okay.
Yeah, Algie's more the age of my younger sibling, because I'm still putting them to bed at night.
Yeah, Elliot.
But
Elliot and
Elliot,
Kevin are in the same grade.
Yeah, we're the same age. I think positive association. Positive association. The first time after my dad died, and when I was finally able to go over to Jazz's house, y'all were having band practice and you were playing, and that was when I sang with you guys for the first time. Jazz playing on my dad's guitar, and you playing on the drums, and sang "Coney Island Baby" by Lou Reed, which was Dad's song.
All right.
And that was how I first met Elliot.
I'm going to give you guys a question for the last to start everything off. And we're going to start from the round table for this is how everybody's going to meet. Either your parent has mandated you, a friend has invited you, or for whatever the reason, you are attending. There is a multi-school, as in it goes through all the grades, club, and there is an event you all are attending today. I will let whoever gets I land on this dice choose what club it is, and then everybody will have to decide why they are going there. Maybe their parent is helping run it, but you get the idea. Kevin, what club is Kevin going to a part of, and what is the event about? You're muted.
I know. Yeah, there was like, oh shit, I'm muted. His mom would have to be making him go to this, because unless it was for a trade school or something, he wouldn't go to it at all. But I think
Could be a part of your job.
could be. Could be I'm working it actually. Yeah, I'm making some extra money during school hours, even better. Helping to run the booths and keep people moving. You know, one of the admin assistants or something for the school knows how strapped my family is, so they got me out of my last period class, and I'm making a couple extra bucks helping to set up the event and everything.
All right, so I think from that, I'm going to say it's a science fair.
Cool. That makes sense.
It's all right. Why is KC going to the science fair?
Firstly, she's bored, but secondly, there's some weird contractual thing that she doesn't really understand through lack of interest with the radio, where the radio has to set up a lot of we don't do science fairs in Australia, so I'm just gonna assume that I know what they are probably from pop culture. But basically, she has to take a thing that the radio is offering to show as a new version of sound or something, and it's really old. It's not a thing that's real. She's like, this is from the late 70s, and they're like, kids are dumb, they don't know that, and she's really offended. But
it's this sort of decrepit public radio station almost. I don't know if it's public exactly, but it's publicly funded to a degree. And part of that is you guys occasionally have these donors or sponsors. And so one of the sound companies that donates equipment to you, they're like, you have to go to this fair. You need to show it off, Yeah. And part of that too, it's you're expected to help set up the speakers for it, but that's about it.
Yeah, she's also, there's meant to be a person that is more senior for her, but that person is on the radio now doing the actual job. So she's oh, I'm also going to be the sound engineer and stuff. So she's really a little put off by the whole thing because she doesn't work during the day. That's her choice. She could have a daytime job. And they're like, but no, go work during the day, you nerd. And she's very upset about it.
All right. Why is Drowsman going to the science fair?
I think I'm assuming that it's like not for our grade, so I think
It's in all grades. When the school is doing a science fair, but it has all three schools come together to do like a big exhibition, right? So the middle schoolers do the high stuff, that kind of thing.
That's
okay.
small town for you.
I don't think Jez cares to do a science fair project, so I think they're hanging out while Kevin works. kind
Yeah,
of
they
thing.
could be working the same booth to help out. Like it's just a chance to like.
Yeah, they're like not even like it's not like they're volunteered or scheduled. They're just kind of there, and occasionally like we'll hand Kevin some stuff.
Yeah.
Which is not doing any favors for the whole "are we not" thing.
Sitting on a box, like
think
looking at these chumps.
I think both of the science teachers are these complete freaks. Like one of them is like she's super nice, but she's her and the other teacher, they teach both biology and science across all the grades. They're stretched super thin. Um, and one of them is like this super polite, nice lady, and then her friend, the other teacher, is like the classic mad scientist. He wears his lab coat everywhere, even when he's picking up the mail in the morning. Um, and he is just way too into the subject. Um, uh, People who know him closely say that like he sleeps in the lab coat. Um, I'm gonna ask, why is Algernon at the science fair?
Are you kidding? Algernon has looked forward to this for the last 11 years of his 10-year life. He has come with a project that he is absolutely certain is going to knock everybody's socks off, and he's never once thought about the fact that that it does have a lot to do with pond scum.
Okay.
I can tell more about it, but just
yeah.
Do you want more now or
Elliot?
later? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
So I think that Elliot could not give two shits about the actual science, but I think that he heard a rumor that there was going to be lots of like food and drinks there. So Elliot is specifically there just to get like pizza and soda, and is probably like alternating between skulking in the corner and like somewhat stretching their legs and walking through the booths, but like is mostly just kind of like in the corner inhaling as much pizza as they can.
I want to offer you something as well.
Ooh, okay.
I think because this is a really small town, they do joint book fair and science fairs.
Oh, okay.
So the local bookstore lady is also there, setting up a little booth for the kids.
Okay. If that's the case,
she's got like a little National Geographic stand, that kind of thing. You get it.
Okay. So Elliot is mostly skulking in the corner, but has gone over to say hi to the bookstore lady, but he's kind of like trying to be like subtle about it, like I'm not a nerd. I don't actually like read books. I'm just here eating pizza, but is like also like side-eyeing a lot of the books and is like interested in them.
All right. Elliot, I'm also going to say that for whatever reason, I guess I'll describe the fair and the schools. So these schools operate a little bit differently because it's a small town. Originally, these schools weren't designed to be a high school, middle school, or elementary school. Early on, the big town over decided they wanted to build a college, and it was cheaper to buy land rights, especially in a small town, and people would just commute over. That was the idea. But for whatever reason, there's a number of rumors about it. Either the place was haunted or construction went wrong. There's a few rumors about people dying during the building. They only completed a few of these places. And Stein Falls at the time had a lot of older and decrepit school buildings they were currently using and just decided to buy the properties they'd already built and migrate these schools next to each other. So all three, the elementary, middle, and high school, sort of operate in this campus style. And in the middle is where they're hosting this fair on the grass, and then the auditorium next to it. As you're all walking around the science fair, and Casey, you're helping getting set up the equipment. You're starting to look through some of the electronics, and you're getting a weird feedback through one of the speaker systems. An undetected input from somewhere in the system. It's pretty unusual, especially for somebody to be able to hijack a speaker system. So I'm going to let you make a brains check if you want to try and figure out where this is coming from, or you can choose to ignore it.
Yeah, because it's all also, like, analog. Like, there's no wireless stuff happening, so there has to be a wire. Casey's like, well, I mean, there just has to be a wire. Somewhere there's a wire, and it's fine, I'll find it. So yeah, I'll work it out.
Alright, I'm going to say this is going to be a DC 13 brains check.
Alright. Let me, So, I can take half, but that's never going to be enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Yeah, this is a harder check.
9.
Okay, so that's only on the first bracket. Okay, so you fail, but not too badly. So I'll say, well, you don't track down the exact source of it, and you can't figure out where it's coming from or who's putting it in. While tracking it down, you're very, very closely listening to the signal to see if you can get stronger feedback as you get closer on the wire, right? Like you're occasionally pulling out the multimeter and checking voltage, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
As you get closer, you notice that the frequency that's starting the input it can't be random. This is something closer to like the sound waveforms of a voice, or at least something that is not just static sound. This is deliberate. You guys haven't actually turned on the speakers, though, for sound to come through. Somebody is just trying to input it for when you guys do. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you can hook up a speaker and you can start to hear it come through, but it's not going to come over the intercom immediately.
Sure. Do we have some random headphones to plug in rather than a full speaker?
Yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah, I think...
the audio sent you with some.
Yeah, I think she plugs in a pair of headphones, and she, like, just, without saying anything, signals over to the other person that she's theoretically helping, but probably doing about 60% of the work. She's like, I found it, and we'll plug the headphones in.
Okay. As you plug those headphones in, you immediately get the static and the sound of everything buzzing in. And you hear static interference for a second, and then you can hear what seems to be a very messy scribbled sound of beep, beep. Does Casey know Morse code?
She knows of Morse code. She certainly doesn't know Morse code to just off the top of her head be able to decipher something.
Okay. Does she know a lot about audio as a whole?
Yeah, I think she's been working at the radio for 6 months, but she loves music beyond that. So I think she does know quite a lot about audio stuff.
Okay. So this is not a snap decision, this is planned action. Another brains check, DC 10. But this is one of those where, yeah, you can take half to automatically succeed, but succeeding by more might matter here.
Okay. Also, I gained adversity tokens for failing that one, right?
Yes. Yeah, you gain 2 adversity tokens because you have easy go.
Yeah. Alright. Yeah, I will roll again, I guess. Because I think that she's familiar with music stuff, but she's not so familiar with this exact, like, thing, which she couldn't possibly be familiar with, so she's just going to be like, oh, I'll just apply my brain instead of, like, think it through, because she doesn't really think things through that often. 16.
That is pretty significant. Okay, the character succeeds quite impressively. So you're going to have some additional benefits. First, as you're listening to this is theoretically in a frequency that's being transmitted too low for humans to hear. The fact that you can hear this is unusual. Second, whatever Morse code is coming through is first coming through in a language, and you can start to pick up a few words. It's counting down numbers, starting from 100.
All right. I think Casey like takes the headphones off for a second and looks around, and then puts them back on to make sure that she's not firstly just imagining the numbers, like hearing a sound that doesn't exist, and assuming that it's at the same countdown point. I feel like it's somewhere in like the 60s at this point when she like has got to it. And I think she just looks over, and probably because she's got the headphones on and they're a bit noise cancelly, yelled slightly louder to her, the person she's helping, whose name is Calvin. She's like, Calvin, I think there's like a countdown thing. Do you know what this is? And she offers the headphones to him.
He's gonna listen in. I'll take a second. I'm gonna roll brains for him. I'll offer this. Do you think he'd also be like a super brainy character?
No. He's kind of an idiot. Like, Casey's really irritated by how much of an idiot he is.
I'm gonna roll a d6 then.
Sure.
Okay, I think this will be a really hard check for him too. He does get a 6, so his dice will explode. He rolled a 1, so he's got a 6, and this is DC 16.
Sure.
So he fails by 10 or more. The failure is profound. This will only impact him, but I'm gonna say as he's listening to this, as the numbers start counting down, he hasn't been drinking coffee for a little bit, and he's like, yeah, I got, yeah, I'll tell you what it is in a second. And he's like listening, but you can tell he's clearly like, well, he theoretically is hearing it, he's not really paying attention. And he's like sort of like staring at like a patch on the wall, and you can tell appropriately he's judging how long he needs to sit here before he can say it doesn't mean anything.
All right. She just takes the headphones back off him and is like, just go back to whatever I guess you're doing. You're plugging those in wrong. Firstly, like, it's not right. But anyway, she like puts them back on. She takes out her notepad from her backpack. She's still young enough that she does carry an actual backpack. She takes that out and takes a pen out, and she, while listening to the countdown, so she tries to track like every 5 on the countdown, but she also takes a note of the Morse code, and she's like making sure that she has an enormous amount of stuff. I'm intuitive, which, as far as I'm aware, means that I can spend an adversity token to ask you a question about a thing.
What does it mean?
So intuitive means that I may spend 1 adversity token to ask the GM about your surroundings, an NPC, or the like. The GM must answer honestly.
Yeah. Yes, this applies.
So I think I will do that, and I think what Casey's trying to get a sense of is, as she like is listening to the countdown, marking down as many notes as she can about this, is if this countdown sounds like it's ominous enough to be counting down to something dangerous to like a lot of people.
Okay.
I don't know if that's within the scope of intuitive.
Casey would certainly know about number stations, right?
Yeah, Casey probably does. Jack doesn't, which.
Number stations are something foreign governments would use to transmit messages, comments, or other information to agents on throughout the, in a sort of like secret language, just using the numbers, like one-time codes.
Yeah.
It was a way to transmit messages. And as you're scanning through this, you don't think this is somebody that's counting down towards something that is catastrophic, but this sounds more like somebody that is trying to see if somebody else is listening more than anything else. Whether or not it thinks specific people are picking up on it, you don't know. But for some reason, part of you clicks. This might be seeing if anybody here is listening. It might not know how audio systems work, but this is an attempt to transmit a message to somebody, to get their attention.
Okay. I think Casey will keep listening to it till it counts down all the way to 0 and sees what happens after that.
Okay. We're going to switch over a little bit, and we'll resolve the consequence of that in a moment. Certainly not negative, but not necessarily positive either. Kevin and Jazz, as you're working the stand, you see a kid walk up to the booth, and what kind of booth do you think Kevin is running?
Kevin is probably. Oh man, they probably put him in charge of the shop class advertisement. Like, hey, if you love science, you could be an engineer someday. Take shop class, and so he's got most of the tools and anything that he would need in his backpack, and he has been good at shop. So probably running the booth.
Yeah. You've got one other kid there. You've got one of the older kids who's kind of in the same boat as you. He's technically in school, but he's also he's got his own job, taking care of other people. He's this older sort of. You kind of know he's a stoner, usually not at work. Miles, he probably works with you in one of your jobs.
Yeah, Miles and I have done runs before.
Yeah, and both of you are sitting there, and this. I think you wouldn't know them because they're 2 grades below you. They're a freshman who's kind of a nothing kid, right? Sorry, a sophomore. And they have just immediately, very clearly erratic behavior on their face, but their body language is not panicked, but you can instantly say there is something not right about it. The way they carry themselves, the way they walk, it just isn't right. You see something and it sets off the uncanny valley of motion.
Okay.
As they walk towards you, this polite young girl, and she says, "Oh, is this the engineering booth?"
Yeah. I look over at Miles. I don't know if Miles is distracted or not. Like if he's noticed this, but I'm just trying to keep a normal face on it. Are the other kids noticing that she's a little whacked out, or is it just?
You think the other kids are keeping a distance, but they just think maybe she's having a bad day or something. They don't want to think about it too hard. The reason I'm giving you this information is you're kind of a people person. You'd be the kind of person who would note, you'd care. You wouldn't just kind of dismiss it.
Yeah, exactly. So I start showing her hey, so one of the first things you do is make a birdhouse. I forget. Do you live on the outside of town, or do you live here in the burbs?
She sort of leans over awkwardly as she does. I don't know how to describe it other than it's suddenly very practiced as she leans an elbow over the counter and starts tapping fingers under the wood of the booth in a very rhythmic motion. And you can see her face darting around the room as she's answering you. She's never making complete eye contact. And she says, "Oh, I live in the burbs. Burbs. That's where."
Oh shit. Okay, well, there's not as many trees, right? So birdhouses are a great way. Both, I mean, you make something here, you get better at your hands, and then you've got something. And I'm like if she's not looking, do I know what stimming is? By the way, with that, I know we're in the '90s. That's probably a little early for
I
me to have
I
gone on to Tumblr and educated myself, but
I think Kevin is enough of a. I think you can tell me I'm wrong, but I can see Kevin as the kind of person who volunteered to help kids who had learning disabilities.
something like that would
Yeah,
have
and
happened. Yeah,
I think you've gotten the lowdown from one of the nicer English teachers who is well read. And they may not call it stimming, they just call it like a like active sensory information, like active sensory overload or something. I'm gonna let you roll. You can choose for me if you think this is the wrong one, but I will let you choose a. Here's what it comes to mind: a brains or charm roll. Charm would be the sort of social intuition about what's going on there. DC 10, but this would be a snap decision, so you can't take half.
gotcha. I think it would be charm because I want to figure out what's going on with her, and I want to know because like we've also like one of the senior projects you can make is like a Rubik's cube. So like if she's
Mhm.
always trying to play with her hands, like yeah, I'll give her a Rubik's cube. So like I'm gonna try to like figure out socially what's going on with her, and let's see.
While you're making that roll, I
11.
have
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
have I ever seen this kid before, or like around the town at all ever
DC 5 brains.
to know if I've seen them?
Yep. Or if you have, it'll make sense if you succeed.
7.
Um, you're kind of a people watcher, right? Jazz sometimes is like you've sat back. Um, you think about if you know this kid before, but as you surround them, you think you have. This is one of those sophomore girls who's kind of in her own world. She navigates the world. She's very young, very polite, very shy. Very noticeably, everybody has said that she's normally a very. She's not charming exactly, but you've never heard anybody say that she's super odd. Um, and second, as you do this, you of all people, a people watcher would intuit this. You notice something feels not quite right about the way when other people are looking at her around the crowd that isn't Kevin. The way their eyes seem to dart away, as if something else randomly catches their attention. Uh, it's weird, right? People, when there's something odd happening, will sometimes at least listen in or turn their body towards it. They are.
Um,
Um,
you can go ahead. I think as after Kevin like gets to a pause in what they're saying, so that their role can go through. Jasmine is going to try to interrupt, like by kind of pushing themselves in, but I think Kevin will get to speak before they do that.
okay. I think we should take a break before I describe what's happening because with that success, you guys are going to learn something pretty important. So break, meet back up.
Okay.
It's 10 after the hour.
Sure.
Sounds
Sure.
good.
Okay.
Let
All
me. All right. We should be good. Well, not me. And we're back.
Okay. So I think where we left off is Kevin had succeeded on a charm roll about this woman's behavior, if it was autism or something he was familiar with. And what did you say you got? A 13?
11.
11. Okay, just enough. I succeed by 1 or more. So you do know this is not, at least you've worked with it before. This doesn't seem like autism, at least in any context you're familiar with. This instead, as far as you understand, reeks more of somebody who has two very conflicting emotions going on. There is the body language and the way they speak are startlingly different. The way they even move their mouth and the right and left half of their face to you, you start to pick up are different. You don't think it's something medical, but mentally, this person seems to be very excited, so much so that their body is physically responding. And also out of their mind terrified at the same time.
Really? Terrified?
Yeah. That is the best you can pick up on.
What's the tempo
and
they're
then-
beating out?
Roll me brains, DC 6.
Oh boy. Let's go. 5.
Remember, do you have what die is it?
D6, but I changed my +1 over to brawn.
Okay. So remember, you can use your adversity token to boost that to a 6 to pass it.
No, I will take the diversity token. Failing.
Okay. Diversity token.
Oh, did I say?
Yep.
Like,
If you collect enough diversity tokens, I don't know where to go with that. No, we're not.
Everywhere you can go is terrible. So
Everywhere.
Okay. So, with that failure, because it's only a minor failure, you can interpret any of it. But part of you picks up that it's not random. You'll get that much. Like this isn't just energy. There's some non-randomness behind it. And they're leaning in, and they're like, so you said something about bird. Are birds related to the burbs? And they look you in the eyes. They look like they're trying to do the TV personality voice, like they're looking into a camera at you when they speak.
Hey, what's your name, kid?
Oh. They look over to you, and their whole body language completely changes. Just on a snap. And they say, well, my name is Ashley. What do you want to know?
I'm just asking. I'm talking to my friend here.
They turn over to Kevin and they say, that's your friend?
Should they turn to me and say that?
Yeah, they look over to you and they point over to Jazz and they say, that's your friend?
Yeah, Jazz and I have known each other for years. I'm gonna start to like, if Jazz has come down as like in the center behind the table, I like look at her for my cue, but I'm gonna start stepping around like the booth, because if this girl looks like bugged out and freaked out, I want to like try to be like, hey, like, are you okay? Are you all right? Is somebody here freaking you out?
You say all that, right?
Yeah, like as I'm walking around, just kind of a more hushed tone. Like Jazz can still hear, and so can she.
I will let you roll Charm DC 10.
Oh boy.
You're attempting to calm her down.
Yeah. 3.
Alright.
Gonna get a lot of these diversity tokens.
That's what we're calling them from now on. Okay. They look at you and they say, that's nothing. I should go. I'm okay. And they like put both hands and they wink at you for some reason. Like, there's no logical reason for them to do that. And they take their hands off, and they just walk away back into the crowd.
Okay.
My money's on heroin.
Jess, you can't just say a freshman's on heroin. They're all popping pills anyways these
They're a
days.
sophomore.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sophomores doing H these days.
Okay.
Okay,
Elliot-
do you know her? I'm
She
not even
goes-
like engaging with Miles. I think he's fucking useless at this point, probably.
She goes here.
I think Miles legitimately has his jaw on the floor watching this. Like, he's just been like... You ever see like a cat with like a cucumber put behind them suddenly? Like, he's got the like... What? Like, he's deeply confused at that whole interaction.
She goes here. I've seen her around before, I didn't know her name or anything, but I've never heard her being weird like that. And there was something like, maybe it was just like a homeless person effect, but nobody was looking at her. It was weird.
I didn't pick up on that. I don't think so. Nobody was.
Yeah, they kept avoiding looking at her, but like not in like a way like I'm looking away because I don't want to look at this person. It was more like noticing them and then like almost looking through again. Weird.
Turn to some of the other kids, like some of the kids who were like coming up to the booth. Are any of them around her age?
Yeah, some of them are underage. You can certainly find one or two.
Who was? Sorry, sneezing. Who was she? Do y'all know her? And I'm like scanning the crowd, looking to see which way she went.
You find, I think like around her age, he's kind of like this little punk kid. There's a few rumors about him being a nasty kid, but you've met him. He's nice. I think his name is like Derek, probably, right? Like he's sort of the average like face. Like he likes the chains or whatever. Roll me charm DC5 to see if you can like get him to really say anything to you.
Gotcha. He's one of those like he wears leather, but it's ethically sourced type thing. We know the type.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
in
his
the
mom.
90s.
Yeah. 7.
He says he looks at you and he's, you're nice. He's a little bit more willing to trust you than he might other people. He's got an image to maintain, but he's like, I don't know. That was kind of weird, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know. She's normally not like that. She's usually she's in the yearbook committee, I think. I don't know her that well, but she's normally normal in my class with her.
What's her name, man?
Her name's Ashlyn. She's pretty insistent about that, though.
Insistent about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, when she's being like normal in class, she's got a whole routine about like her dad said that's her name, so people should say her full name, no nicknames,
Huh. All right. I appreciate it, man. Thanks. Let's kind of look back over at Jazz. Just I mean, we're not gonna. We can't leave, but
She's not
see
hurting
which-
anybody.
I guess. I just
They'll
hope
tell
nobody
somebody
hears freaking
later.
her out. Yeah, we'll talk to Mrs. Smith or something. Anyway, I'll start showing the Rubik's Cube off to another kid who seems interested.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get some sodas. And Jazz walks away.
Non-diet. Hate diet.
You know I only drink regular Coke.
Yeah, I know you do, but sometimes you grab me a Diet Coke because you think you're funny.
It's true.
Accidentally just fucking flirting. Just there we go. It's great.
Certainly one side of that interaction is flirting.
Certainly one side.
Okay, I'm gonna ask. As you're by the booth, you're sort of near Algy's experiment. Algy, how does your experiment go wrong?
Oh God.
Man, fucking tastic.
So
I will let. Actually, what's your D20 stat? It's brains, right?
Mhm.
I will let you make a DC 20 check to prevent the experiment from going wrong.
DC 20.
All right. All right.
It won't be that bad if you fail, but I want to give you the chance.
I like having the chance. No.
Okay. What did you get? What did you get?
An 11.
Okay. Tell me how this thing goes wrong.
All right. So first you gotta you have to see how it is, and how it is algae has somehow, despite the very strict rules about how many booths you have, which are entirely unnecessary because there's not that many kids in this town, he still managed to secure, through a series of bribery, begging, and minor. It might have been construed as an accidental threat, but only because he's that awkward. 3 booths, and across 3 booths, he has spread out a scale model with sourced from the actual pond and a tributary right up next to the pond of the water that has been suspiciously contaminated in Stein Falls for a little while now. And his goal is to show that he can make it cleaner. It's a filtration project. And he hasn't thought about how this is going to factor into his reputation. And so as he's sitting there, he is talking to one of the judges, who's just a wandering teacher. And it's a teacher he's seen a lot of times, but he's still nervous as hell. And so he's my name's Algie. I mean it's Algernon, but everyone calls me Algie. Anyway, so and as he's introducing it, and the second judge is coming up, and they've got their clipboard, it just starts to bubble. And again, this is at least 60 gallons of water, but probably closer to 80. God knows how he got it in here. And on one side of it, it's dark, and it has that weird chemically smell, and nobody knows what is going on with this creepy plant that has just been starting to leak water into this. And nobody knows how he was allowed to do this project anyway. The other side, perfectly clear. But on the smoky side, it starts to bubble. And as soon as he finishes introducing his project, flort, an enormous quantity of water just as the filtration backfires and showers him and anyone close enough to be in the wake of it in algae covered water.
I think the person who got you the tables and is around here is the school counselor, Miss White. And as she's getting showered with this water, and is there a little bit of pond? You said there's pond scum in there.
There's not only a ton of pond scum, because this is the dirty side. There is an unidentifiable filmy funk in there from some kind of chemical.
As this is raining down, you see for a moment Miss White twitches, and you see a light, and on top of the building blinks out for a second and blinks back on. As and she's super nice. You've never seen her get angry, but she's she has a moment of I thought this was gonna go well. And then she takes a second to calm down, and she's like, "All right, everybody, it's all right. These things happen. Last year's baking soda volcano incident was worse. There's no second-degree burns this time. Just water. I'll go get the towels, Algie." And she walks over. I want you to roll me grit to see how well Algie handles this.
Algie is just standing there like this, and he's completely soaked from head to toe, muddy, algae, and just got strings of group. You said a DC 8?
Grit check, yeah.
2 on a D12.
Algie you are trying really hard not to cry. You are in your best power, but you are a child, or everything has just gone wrong in a science fair. It is really hard.
Just making this wheezy noise. And he's got this like frozen grin.
He's like getting out an inhaler. Okay, and then we're gonna tilt over.
I will retcon that. He has no inhaler. He is not that character from Up. He has strong, powerful lungs.
Okay. Okay. For some reason, my men went to meet the Robinsons, not Up. I don't know why. Anyways, okay, Elliot. You're sort of chilling. What book has Elliot pulled out since decided to leave? What kind of book?
I think that Elliot has a book, and they're like kind of tucked in the corner, so you can't see what they're reading. But it's a book of modern poetry.
Okay. What book is it tucked behind?
It is
Monster
tucked behind a
Truck?
book that's called like Battles and Badasses. And
Okay.
so it looks like Elliot is reading that book when actually he's deeply engrossed in a modern poetry book.
Mm-hmm. 1 second. Okay. So you said the bookstore lady's name was Emily, right?
Mm-hmm.
She looks over to you and she's like, she sort of gives you that glare of like, and then she like just points 2 fingers to like, come over here, you know? Like she's like,
Okay.
all right, come on. And she like sort of leans next to the counter. And does Elliot walk over?
Yeah, Elliot definitely walks over to her. He kind of lumbers, I guess, instead of just normally walking.
She gives you this sly look, like, you know, she knows you got to maintain an image. You can't be too nerdy. And so you see she like puts on an act for everybody else where like she shifts her body language to be slightly annoyed with you, but her face is still like completely neutral and friendly. And she's like, she leans in real close and she says, hey, I saw you'd like this. And she slips over a $10 bill to you. And she points to the back of the book fair with where she has like a bunch of the extra stuff, including like the Nat Geo magazines and everything. And she says, "But I need a favor from you."
Elliot looks like really confused and is like, "How can I help you?"
All right. And she points to we've described before. You see, there's this I said before, like this young freshman girl, very erratic behavior. She's got the same behavior she had with Kevin, and she's like looking at the books, looking around. She says, "Girl over there seems to be freaking out. Do you think you could try and distract her? She's really making it hard for other people to browse."
I think Elliot looks over at the girl and then looks back at Emily and says, "Distract her how?"
She looks in the eyes and she says, "Help her find a book, or, you know, just get her moving along. You understand?"
Elliot nods and said, he like takes the $10 bill and like tucks it into his back pocket, and kind of walks over to.
She like pats you on the back and she's like, "You're a good kid."
He like shrugs it off because he's still trying to maintain his image, but he walks over to, what did you say that the girl's name was?
Ashlyn.
Ashlyn?
But some people call her, some people call her Ash or Ashley, and you know, you've heard it before. She's only like, how old did you say you are, Elliot?
I said 16, but now I'm wondering because it sounds like the main teens are seniors, so maybe 17 would be more appropriate.
Yeah, you know, she's 2 grades below. She's a freshman. You'd be a junior at that age, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, are y'all juniors or seniors?
We're me and Kevin are 16.
Okay, yeah.
And
So
we're both juniors with, I think, late school year birthdays is what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
then Elliot will be in the same boat. So
She's a freshman. She's a little bit insistent about being called Ashlyn, but some people will poke her buttons about it. But that's the most you've heard.
okay, so I think that Elliot is like possibly gonna try to be charming here, even though that's the D4. But Elliot is gonna go up to her and say, Ashlyn, are you okay? Do you need something? And I think Elliot looks more awkward and uncomfortable in this situation than even Ash does.
She turns over and I don't know how to say it other than like, when like you swing your muscles super hard and it's like you're trying to move as fast as you can, just to see if you can. It's like her whole body rotates for no good reason. Like she like pulls on every muscle to like swing to see you. And she's like, yes.
I think Elliot is like a bit unnerved by that and says, do you need help finding a book? Maybe, and he like gestures at like, I'm trying to think, was Nancy Drew popular in the 90s?
It's still around, I'll say that much. It's definitely still being seen.
Okay, I think maybe he like gestures vaguely at like where Nancy Drew books are in an attempt to help.
Give me a DC 5 charm.
Well, I got my D4, so let's see how this
roll
goes.
a 4, if you roll a 4, you can make it because your dice would explode.
I got a 2.
She looks at you and she says, no, not that kind of, no, you do. Do you know any books about people? Like, like people.
I think Elliot is just confused at this point and says, I mean, there's people in a lot of these books. I don't.
No, but like one that's about people. Like a and she's like, she points to an auto manual book, like, how to repair cars for kids, like that, but for like people.
Elliot is like nodding and then like maybe sees like, I don't know if any of y'all have ever read that book that was like, it was like American Girl and it was like Your Body and You, that like you might have gotten when you were like going through puberty. But if that's like on a shelf, I think Elliot's gonna point at and be like, something like that.
Yes. And she grabs it and then walks off without paying. And the teachers and the bookstore lady clearly too weirded out to say no to this. She doesn't want to deal with that.
Okay, I think Elliot will kind of gesture like, should I go after her and make her pay? But it's just kind of like,
as you say no, like you take a hand and you wave to say no. We're gonna switch right back over to Casey, and as the countdown reaches 0, you notice 2 things immediately. First, all of the sound systems drop immediately. And second, you notice the flicker because you're in sort of a back room next to in the auditorium, and then you hear in the background one of the you're near the breakers. You hear all of the breakers suddenly, and they all flip off. And the whole auditorium is dark.
Casey takes that opportunity to let somebody that is paid to do that job, and is just going to walk out to the main auditorium area. She's got a flashlight in her backpack.
I think you've walked out to next to where Jazz was getting a soda, and they're just like kicking the scene like, fuck, you stole my dollar.
And as this happens, Kevin, you hear Miles yell loudly, "What the fuck?" And then I'm gonna roll to see his fight roll real quick. Okay, that's pretty good. You hear him yell this, and then you hear the like loud clunk of metal crashing against something. And you hear him like stumble back because he's sort of like behind the booth, and you hear him like move up to the front. And you hear something stumble and fall behind you guys, and then you hear it run off. And he runs up to you, and he's like still navigating in the dark. He knows you're there, and he's just like, something just grabbed me.
Am I here for this?
Yeah,
Did I
We're all in,
see
like,
anything?
the same room,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
What do you mean something grabbed you? What are you talking about?
felt something put its hand on my shoulder, and it started pulling. So there's a chunk of metal next to me, so I just swung it. And the lights are off at this point for everybody.
Was it counting down from 100?
As you say that, my flashlight is going to
fuck?
flick on, and you can just see my face looking at you like,
Casey's holding a
"Hi,
flashlight.
Casey."
But not relevant. Look, it's kind of really, something happened to the breaker. I mean, you guys are the engineering people, right?
If you call shop engineering, sure. Yeah.
Man, I work on cars sometimes. All right.
Is this
So,
Miles?
So
Yeah, Miles is like I work on cars. I can work with glass.
I feel like
Miles, man, changing out the oil is not the same thing.
Is Miles a student or a teacher?
Miles is a student. He's a super senior.
Oh, I'm gonna go find a teacher. For some reason, I thought Miles was like the shop teacher who was garbage. I'm just gonna find the weird science guy with the white lab coat that my flashlight will hit. I'll be like, hey.
I think his hair is like, he's clearly exposed to certain enough chemicals. His hair is like mildly bioluminescent, like just lightly glows in the dark.
He's the fucking anglerfish.
So the lights are out everywhere, right? So this is like, like some sort of, okay.
There's little kids being like, ah!
Yeah, everybody, like, there's a few people screaming, and like, you hear all of the teachers start yelling, like, calm down, it could just be a power outage, you know? People are just sitting tight.
I think Casey probably turns to Jazz and says, there's no way for anyone to know if we're, like, here or not right now. I'm gonna go outside and do something else for a bit. And it's like saying it as an invitation to Jazz, not to Kevin or Miles. Specifically not to Miles. But, like, Casey's like, I was in school with you last year, you weirdo.
God. How many, like, young students do we have around the booth right now? Because I'm sure they're freaking out.
They're freaking out, but they're listening to the teachers to stay still, right? Like, they're all, like, talking amongst each other, but pretty quietly. There's quite a few freaking out. Like, there's, like, a 6th grader and a 5th grader that are, like, holding each other's hand when you turn the flashlight on, and they're, like, just rocking back and forth like this. Like, they don't know what's going on. One of them is convinced they're all gonna die.
They're all convinced they're all gonna die every time there's a power outage. As he's looking around with the flashlight, Algie kind of like just sort of appears in the flashlight beam, and presuming y'all didn't see the science experiment go off, he's just, this kid with extremely red, curly, kinky hair that is just standing up on end and has like whole large pieces of pond matter in it. And he's still got this like look of just like, my entire career is over. I might as well go retire and die in a ditch somewhere.
Just so I'm clear, you are a water and pond scum covered creature that just appeared out of the darkness in front of Casey? Like, Casey
I mean, presuming she walks around.
Yeah, she's always moving the flashlight because she doesn't like darkness around her at all. So she's always moving the flashlight. So I think she comes across your face and she does like a full Scream Queen, like, scream. Like, I can't do it. Wow. A, because my voice hurts, and B, because I don't think I can scream in that octave. But, like, she is terrified of things that she doesn't know about in the dark. That's, like, her fear. And she looks at you and is just, like, petrified.
The whole auditorium hears this. Like, the whole auditorium. behind you, you hear Miles swing the metal behind him for no reason, as if he's like expecting it to be there again.
Oh, God, just fucking dome an elementary schooler.
It's probably what happened in the first place. Yeah, and then Casey just like probably freezes for like 3 seconds, reaches out and like just touches your head to make sure you're a real thing, and then just makes for the nearest like emergency exit.
And when she touches his head, like she has to reach down significantly. He's like 4.5 feet tall. Like he's small even for a 10-year-old. Like, and when she touches him, he tries to scream, but again, his world is over. He might as well retire, and he just kind of sinks to the ground, like looking around.
Well, I definitely vanquished that monster. It's on the ground now, and I'm leaving, and everything's fine. She's like already got a cigarette in her hand, and like is fumbling for some matches because she doesn't like lighters because they're too like they're not authentic.
Jazz pulls a sheet off a table, just like, hey, flowers for Algernon. Why don't you wipe yourself down?
Roll me flight to see if you accidentally pull anything down, or if you can like do a clean rip, like DC 5. You've done this before. You're a funny guy.
Okay.
Jazz goes to clown school.
This is not good. I'm not that coordinated. No, that's a 1. You said flight, right?
Yeah, you like try to pull off the sheet, and you don't notice something in the end because it's dark. You hear something crash, like a metal tube, and some glass like shatter as you pull it off.
Oops. I swiftly follow that up by walking out with Casey.
Are you guys trying to leave the auditorium?
Yes. As quickly as possible. If there's an emergency exit, I'm going to trust that the electricity is no longer working. And also, I think Casey knows probably the emergency exits that are fine to walk through at the school.
The doors are locked. And the emergency exits, as you push on one of them, something is barring it from the other side. You press against it, that is the only way it can be shut.
Okay, that's not good. Alright.
Well, maybe let's find the breakers. Where the fuck are the breakers?
Casey, you hear something skittering on the ceiling above you.
I just like aim the flashlight towards the skittering. Yeah.
You hear something chitter.
Okay, breakers. I put my headphones on so that I'm not dealing with the sound of stuff, and I'll like just hit play with the volume pretty low so I can still hear Jazz and be like, okay, yeah, breakers. They're like near the room we were setting up in, so you can come with me. Yeah. And she like starts flicking the flashlight as we walk across the room, but now is also including the roof in her like extremely erratic pushing back of the darkness.
You can't catch this thing. I'm going to roll for it real quick to see. Okay, yeah, you can't catch it with the flashlight. This thing seems to, if it's there, you can't catch it with the light.
I think.
Meanwhile, this entire time, Algernon, with the white sheet spread over his shoulders, is just kind of slowly drifting after them because, like, he's a kid covered in pond scum around a bunch of other kids his age. Like, that's not where he wants to be.
Yeah, I think for Casey, she's not even. She's hoping to not find something in the darkness. So, like, she's just saying, like, well, I've scanned everywhere, and I'm constantly scanning everywhere. There's nothing evil in the darkness that's going to kill me. So not seeing something is probably better for her. But yeah, we'll
Algernon,
just make our way back to the breakers, I guess.
In the dark.
In the back of the breaker room, you see what looks to be like a lighter and a cigarette obviously being lit in there. Somebody's like smoking up ahead, and as you point at it, one of the tallest girls in school, like, she's a school bully, but she's pretty selective about how she bullies, so it's not like everybody, right? She's like 6'4", as like, she's super tall, she's got blonde hair, she has a rich family, and she's kind of a dickhead except with younger kids. And so she's in the back of the breaker room, and she's got a few kids with her, and she's got a knife out, and she's scanning her surroundings.
Wait.
She seems pretty startled.
She's like the below Casey was, right? Basically.
Yeah. Her name's Jessica. Yeah.
Casey's like,
Hey, Jessica, you looking to shank those kids? Why don't you put the knife away?
No. What? No. You mean you guys heard the clang, right? There's something here.
I'm pretty
We don't know
sure.
what I mean. Kids get fucking eaten.
I'm pretty sure that was just Miles hitting something. It might have been a kid, but we gotta
This
fix
is
the
horror
breaker.
movie shit.
Yeah, we gotta turn the lights on. Like, and she gestures around with the flashlight, making really the smaller room look much creepier.
I'm gonna start feeling around for the breakers.
Make me brains check DC 8.
I definitely feel like of the three of us in this room, Jazz fixing the break is the smart one.
Yeah.
Casey's happy to watch Jazz just deal with that.
That was an 8. Off you heard.
Exact. Okay. You can find the breakers. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before, but two of them, the actual switches themselves, somebody has taken a screwdriver and manually snapped it so that it can't be reversed. Like they've actually fucked up the mechanism. At primary lights in the auditorium and to the door locks. The others you can try and flip on, but as you do you just try to flip all of them on one by one?
Not even. I just like as many as I can, just flip them over at the same time.
As soon as you hit more than 3 or 4, all of the breakers flip back off again. There's just not enough power.
Which
You can get
Hold the light. Let me try to see, and I'm gonna look for like something that I think will give light. Maybe like the soda machine one or something.
yeah, Casey will now hold the light and be like, I'll try and help, like find the correct ones that will power like something that will help us.
So there's a few different ones. Like there's the actual like water utility, right? There's like different rooms. Like the back room, when you flip that one, and you can get lights in here. Like the overhead dim ones, not all of them. You can get those on. You can get the vending machines that are in the main area. And if you're just trying to get lights, I think with those of you working together, you don't need to make a check. This is something you can pull. I'll let you decide. You can get one other major source of light somewhere.
Maybe like we're in the auditorium, right? Maybe like or is this like more like a gym?
It's a gym that also serves as an auditorium when it's converted out with the seats pulled from the sides.
Okay, so I'll get the soda machine lights, the lights in the back room, and like the I'm trying to think of like the right word.
Is there
not like I'm thinking of like the spotlight, like if there's like any spotlights, just like the one big spotlight.
Yeah, you can get that on. They probably have it for like when they're doing like a talent show or whatever. That thing. Yeah, you can flip that on. It's definitely not going to illuminate the whole room, but you can get like a big like chunk at the center.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys can also hear something chittering above you.
Can we see it with the
I'm
light
going
on?
To, in the room?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Not scared of it. It's coming out of light.
Yeah, because you can. It's coming from above the ceiling, not like directly on it. Like it's in the ceiling.
Oh, like it's like in the tile things.
Okay, Jessica, I would just hold on to that knife. Actually, don't stab any kids, but like there's something in the roof, and we should deal with that.
Do you need a knife? Do you
Yeah.
need a knife?
Sure, I'll take a knife.
Probably a mouse. Maybe they chewed through the electrical lines.
Why would we need a mouse?
She's gonna-
Computers aren't going to help us here, Jazz.
Jessica's gonna look at you. You know Jessica's parents are loaded with money. She looks at you, she's about to hand over the knife to you. Are you actually accepting it?
Yeah, I'll take the knife.
She'll bring you slightly closer and she'll say, don't tell the kids, but I do have, and she's gonna like gesture to her belt. She has something with her. She has a secondary job that has her out late at night a lot, so she definitely has something secondary to keep herself safe.
This is America.
And she gestures to it, and she's like, take the knife, but don't tell anyone.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. And Casey's like, I don't go to this school. I need to not be in this school for like 2 different reasons now. But importantly, I'll take the knife.
Yeah, you see she's like shit scared. Like she's so out of her element. She's normally the one in control as a bully. This is not her position in life.
Did the chittering like happen and then it moved away, or is it still like something actively chittering above us?
It's still actively chittering above you. It's
Okay,
just constantly making noise.
I'm gonna grab the because I got 1 soda, but I didn't get the second one. So I'm gonna I'm holding a soda can in my hand. And I'm gonna look up, and I'm gonna try to pinpoint the chittering. And I'm just gonna chuck the can.
Oh my
All right,
god.
roll me fight, and I'll roll this thing against it.
Is Algernon still following us? Like, is Algernon in the room?
Algernon is like right outside the room, just like watching, and he's like he's covered in this sheet, and it's glowing slightly because at some point he took one of those glow sticks that Sean mentioned, and he cracked it, and it's like hanging on his neckerchief, and so he's just this like slightly glowing, tiny figure.
So
and I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think he watched the knife exchange, and at this point, he's still really not sure what's going on, and he's still mostly depressed about his experiment, but he's pulled out this, like, tiny little pocket knife that is a gift from his twin siblings, and he's just holding it. He's got the knife.
I rolled a 4, but I got we're teens, so I got a +1, so it's 5.
Okay,
and remind me how we can use the adversity tokens again.
+1.
You can directly turn into as many as you want to a +1 to the roll for as many as you want.
I'll stick with the 5. I don't think it's going to make that much
Was this a
difference.
planned action or a snap?
As snap decision.
Okay.
Yeah, if you had told anybody else that you were going to throw the can and like you were trying to hit it, maybe, but this seems like the impulsive thing, right?
Yeah, I think so. That makes sense. I think
All right.
they're just like doing it.
You like slam this thing into the tile, and you don't get a peek of it, but you do hear it make a different noise this time as it screams. Like, it's not a scream so much, it's just like a person's sound of being afraid, like startled. And then very quickly you hear this thing leave the top of this room. The chittering stops.
Fuck. I'm gonna go back to the auditorium, guys. Hey, yo, Kevin. I wander out.
I've got like a corral of 5 or 6 kids that I'm just sitting with and chilling. I've got like one of the flashlights I'm just holding, but my little lamp, so it's a little more diffuse light. And we're sitting there at the wood shop bench, just kind of like keeping them together. But shit's weird, and Jazz knows I'm keeping it together, but what the fuck is happening face. So
I chucked your soda at the ceiling. There was
and I'm
something
like
up there.
mid.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Did you bean it?
No, it was above. I mean, maybe it did make like a surprise noise, but I mean, it was like in the ceiling, man. Like, I don't know, dude.
Do you hate raccoons? We've been over this. They're not gonna hurt you.
No, it didn't. It wasn't like, look, man, it wasn't like a an animal. I thought it was a rat at first, but when I threw the can, it made like a person noise.
I just like look at you and I look at the kids, look back at you. I'm like, oh, so it was somebody's parrot, guys. Somebody's parrot must have. That's yeah. So they'll catch the parrot, and it's all gonna be okay. Yeah, cool.
You see Miles listening, and you see him grab a crowbar, and he starts heading to the back room.
Miles, Miles.
I'm not waiting around for this thing to catch me, man. I'm going looking.
Miles
I'm
is
gonna
gonna get
grab
full
some,
shot by Jessica.
There's
Oh,
gotta be.
God.
We're in a science fair thing. There's gotta be some scissors nearby. I'm just gonna go grab a pair of scissors.
I'll grab the wrench. I'm gonna throw my work bag on, and I'm gonna grab my wrench, and it's just going up my sleeve. But I have old reliable wrench.
He's just like, I'm going up into the boards, man. All right, look. If this thing's gonna try and kill, I'm gonna go after it.
Has Alien been made yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Been out for like 15
Like
years.
a long time.
Okay. I was gonna say just. I'm looking at you, just Jazz. When did the movie theater show Alien?
It's actually 20, almost 20 years old by this point in time.
It's the anniversary is about to come up.
Yeah, next year is the anniversary. Next May.
Side note: I was 5 years old when my dad took me to see Alien in theaters. Made me sit front row. I don't
For
think
like a re-release, right?
Yeah, like a re-release. We went to
Okay.
a revival theater that was doing it on massive projector thing, whole deal. I was a big boy. I insisted I could handle it. Couldn't handle it.
In the background, by the way, Elliot, your teacher has grabbed one of the heavy books and has huddled kids behind the school book fair booth. And she's clearly on high guard.
I think that Elliot is probably going to square up near the teacher if she looks that terrified. And Elliot, conveniently, I had in my backpack a flashlight and a big knife, so Elliot's not going to pull out the knife yet, but is at least shining the light down on the teacher and is going to say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
She's a big woman too, right? She is it's not she's fat, but she's also just immense, she is a tall, wise woman. She has the librarian build,
Oh, okay, yeah. Elliot's gonna kind of shine the light on her and say, "You okay?"
She pulls out a lighter to she has a lighter thing. She's like, I'm fine. Just didn't like the scream.
Elliot nods and says, "Yeah, I'm sure someone will fix it soon, though. Just stay there." And I think Elliot's going to more out of curiosity than actual fear, is just gonna try and wander around to see what happened.
Okay. I think you'll make it to the back room. Is anybody trying to stop Miles from going up into the tiles, by the way, above the room?
Yes, 100%. I'm you're not going up there. And I'm with the kids. I'm the oldest one. I'm deputizing them. I'm play with the Rubik's Cube. Don't let anybody go anywhere. What do you say the counselor's name was? Was it White? Miss White?
Miss White. Yeah.
Yeah. If Miss White comes by, tell her there's something in the. Tell her she should come back with us. That's understand? Yes. Yes. Good. All right. Don't break my Rubik's Cube. Off.
Roll charm. DC 8 to get these kids to listen to you while they're panicked.
All right. 12.
You're good.
You get a +3 as well, right? For
yeah.
rebellious.
Oh yeah, for convincing them to do
Kids
No,
listen to you better?
it's only. I think it's only to resist the persuasion, not to
When
persuade.
when
And for
persuading
Kids.
children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're good at telling kids
okay,
what
yeah,
I
to do.
misread that.
Okay, then it's 15.
Yeah, this. I'll let you add a little extra. You can say these kids will be like extra on alert, or like nothing bad will happen. You can say nothing bad will happen to them, or if something does bad happen, they'll tell you immediately.
I'm gonna go with I'm too protective. Nothing bad is gonna happen to them. They're gonna be okay. They're gonna do what I tell them, and they're gonna be okay.
All right. Yeah, no, Miles is like, man, look, I'm not trying to be stupid, all right, but I'm not gonna wait around, all right.
Wait around
not
for
gonna-
what?
Room that
I'm not gonna wait around for it to get another one of it. It already tried to get me.
Dude, somebody's gonna like. School's almost over. In like an hour, the parents are gonna be here.
Yeah, and what
Are
if
there
it gets
any-
us in the next hour, man?
Sorry.
Then kill the
Game over,
Like,
man. Game over.
70 people in the auditorium. Why don't we just wait in the auditorium with everybody?
is this
What
thing
if
in
it-
the same room that Algernon is still like hanging out
Yeah.
like a creep in front of.
Yeah. He walks in and sees Algernon in this room, and he's just like, "The fuck? Is that a ghost?"
I think by the time he walks in, Casey has probably like walked up to Algernon and been like, "All right, this is gonna sound weird. You're not some kind of forest monster."
I'm Algernon. What? Oh,
Oh!
you mean? And he like pulls the it off his. And he's like, no, this is just everything I've ever worked for. It's nothing. It's fine.
Oh, shh! And she like calms you by shutting you up and says, "You're the twins' little guy.
Yeah.
Great. You're smart. You can help like figure this out with me." And she like
Super
holds her hand out to
plagiarized.
you.
He like looks at her and he like stares at his hand for a long moment, and he looks at her with like the brief desire just to smack his disgusting hand into hers, and then he very carefully wipes it utterly clean as he can before he reaches out and takes her hand. Is this the same room that Miles is about to try to get into the roof in?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And just as an aside to KC, he just says, he'll fall through that, won't he?
Casey looks up and like looks at Miles and goes, "Yeah, but hitting his head might actually improve him." So like, she shrugs a little bit.
Yeah,
He just
put another
nods and
dent on the
follows
other
her.
side. It will even out.
He's gonna. Does anybody like physically stop him, or do they just try to convince him with words?
He's holding a crowbar? No. Fucking homie's about to learn a lesson he can only learn one way, and that is through the power of Mrs. Gravity.
I'm gonna tell him,
Alright.
dude.
Or
If
rabies.
there's not that much fucking space up there. You're one, you're gonna fall. Two, how are you fucking gonna swing a crowbar crawling around in the crawl space?
He looks
You're
at you
too
for a second,
big.
and then he takes it a second, and then he grabs the crowbar and he like moves it forward, and then he makes like a hooking motion, and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking break its back."
I
Good
just
luck,
move over
man.
towards Algernon, and I'm like, buddy, where are your parents?
He looks to Jessica, and they share like, Kevin, you would know these two people are dating.
Oh Jesus!
God.
That's
Of course.
they're both visible. And he starts fucking climbing up. He's like, "It's gonna be fine. Be fine." Right? You start to get to the sense that he doesn't have any proactive measure. He just doesn't want his girlfriend to get hurt in the same room.
Hey, how about this? How about you two? You look after the little kids and like all of that, and then we can investigate the roof from like. Look, there's more of us instead of just you going up there. You'll graduate eventually, Miles. Don't worry about it. Like, you have a life to live after this, probably.
Roman charm.
Great.
I'll say this is only a DC 6 because he's not that unreasonable. He's just panicked.
11.
Yeah, he's willing to. You've offered him an alternative that isn't just like don't do it. He's willing to listen.
Great.
He says,
Also, can we have your crowbar?
Fine.
You know, for safety.
I don't think that's gonna fly.
Which one of you wants the crowbar?
I know.
I like.
And I'll dip into the tour and be like, Elliot, get your big ass over here. You're good at hidden things. Come on.
It takes a second, but eventually, from the gloom of the auditorium, Elliot comes walking up, and Elliot's carrying a flashlight. Elliot is going to respond to Jess, but then sees Algie just like flailing around
behind Casey.
Yeah,
like,
Casey's
there's
like.
nothing to see except for white.
Casey's
Oh,
like.
okay,
"All
then
right,
never mind."
That's.
I will say, by the way, for information, you guys do know Miles is a tank. Like he got in the. He's not somebody who starts fights, but you know he's like. You could hit him with like a hammer and he would stay up for a little bit.
I like that we have 3 tanks, including Jessica. But yeah, Elliot. If that's the case, I don't think Elliot would have noticed Algie, and is just gonna say to Jess, "What the fuck is going on here?" Gesturing to people wielding lots of weapons.
So we came looking for the breakers, and there's something up in the ceiling. So I chucked a soda can at whatever it was, and I think I
My
hit it.
soda specifically. I just want
Yes,
to know
I chucked
my soda.
I chucked Kevin's soda at it because mine I didn't get because the machine ate my dollar. Which, by the way, Kevin, never mind.
I mama ship.
That's
I
your
mama
soda,
down-
babe. If they ate your dollar, that's your soda. Don't. I'm not trying to like take your soda.
I mama down to Algernon.
I don't want the
It's
soda.
so-
It's on the floor somewhere.
It's
but,
so weird how possessive Kevin is of jazz, right? Like, I'm just trying to indoctrinate this kid into the rumor.
She bought me a soda.
I whispered it. I whispered it to the child whose head
You're
I'm
whispering.
holding.
I think Elliot like punches the wall and is like, "Will everyone shut up? What is going on?"
We're gonna go after whatever this chittering thing is that we think maybe turned off the lights. I still think
You're sure
it's.
You don't
I
think
don't
it's
know.
a rat?
No, it made a person noise.
Also, rats can't turn off
I'm-
lights.
I thought it chewed through a wire, but somebody removed 2 of the breakers.
What?
Yeah,
I
look
think-
at the fucking
Have
breakers.
Miles, Jessica, and all
Elliot's
of the
gonna go
kids
and look
left.
at the breaker.
Sorry. Sarah, have Miles, Jessica, and the kids all left?
Miles, Jessica, and the kids, they're still in the room, but they've made like a sort of huddle in the back, right? And both of them seem in a very defensive stance. Like, this is still a well-lit room, and they, like, Miles, like, will occasionally, like, he goes out to the door and, like, says, like, any kids under a certain age come in here, you know?
Kind of wanted them to just leave so we didn't have to go into the roof.
Yeah. I don't want to. I'm not dragging my ass up there.
I think Elliot is like really tall, so he's just gonna say, "All right, let's not go in the ceiling, but at least take a look. And if there's like a chair or something nearby, he's gonna like drag it into place where someone could like stick the top of their head up into the ceiling."
There's like Miles was gonna use a step ladder and then just drag himself up. You can use the same thing.
Okay. I think, yeah, without like waiting for like approval or permission, Elliot is just gonna like gently lift one of the tiles and kind of like peek in. Not like pulling his body up, but he's just kind of scoping, and he has his flashlight too. And he's
as
like,
you pick up-
I'm sure it's just a huge rat. Elliot does not believe that it's actually a person.
As you peek
It
up,
certainly wasn't a rat, nor was it a bat, which is the only
As
reasonable
you-
hypothesis in the circumstances.
Elliot looks at
I am
you
protective
really
as
quickly.
hell. Protective as hell. Even I'm thinking of braining Algernon real quick.
I
That's
think that
wild.
Elliot just looks at Algernon seeing him for the first time and just goes, "Nice science project," and then is gonna proceed to go up
Fucking
toward the ceiling.
cutting. Fucking
As
cutting.
as you put your head up, you notice two things immediately. First, as soon as you guys lift the ceiling tile, the temperature in the room plummets, like in the whole room.
Shit.
And almost immediately, you see what looks to be condensation pour out from the top of the tile. And as you pop your head up and you take your first breath out, you notice the air is cold enough that the air starts to crystallize in front of you.
Oh no.
Oh shit.
And do you have a flashlight when you're looking up there?
Yeah.
First things, you've noticed something has like taken boards and taken before this, before in advance, has nailed wooden boards to crawl on so that it won't fall through the tiles. To support itself. Like it's hanging upside down, and these tiles are on the other, like the ceiling, so to speak, right? Like above the tiles, there's the actual like physical ceiling of the building.
Yeah.
It has nailed wooden boards for itself to grab onto and hang.
Oh, so it's not like crawling on the tiles, it would be hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this thing also has, as you peek up, its face staring directly at you, and it is Ashley's face mostly, but one of the eyes is like hanging out. Like the actual nerve is falling out. And it looks at you, and this thing's hands, however, like it has these freaky long arms, completely gray, almost desiccated. It looks like necroted flesh, with these long, giant hands, claw-like in nature, almost pincers. And it looks at you, and it uses its 3 of the claws, and it picks up the eye and pops it back in the face. And then the Ashley face says, "Hey, have you seen anything around here?"
I think that Elliot just doesn't even respond, just says, "What the?" And Elliot's the only one that's looking up here right now, right? No one else can see this?
Roll me flight or brawn, as this thing grabs at you.
Flight or...
Yeah.
Okay. My flight is pretty shitty, so we're gonna do brawn and see how that goes. D12, okay. 6. If this counts as combat, I think I get a bonus? Oh no, this isn't combat yet. No. So yeah, just a 6.
You should also get a +1 for being a teen, if you're not including that.
Okay, this thing, get it fight. That's not good.
Elliot's head gets ripped off.
Okay.
End of session.
Adversity tokens only come in with planned actions, not snap decisions, right?
No, they can come in for either, but if it's a snap decision, you can only use your tokens on you, I believe.
Got it.
Oh, okay. So, did you say there was a DC for this?
So the way combat works is you roll on versus the creature's fight, or you can roll flight as well.
Gotcha.
If you're trying to talk your way out of it as it's attacking you, you can also roll charm. If you're trying to brace yourself and instead of taking damage, just like try to avoid even looking hurt and like scare the thing off, you can use grit. If you can justify a stat in combat, you can use it.
Okay, I think I'll just do brawn because I think like this would be so unexpected that like I don't think Elliot could even fight back. So I got a 6. And
I'll be open about the rolls. So you got a 6, you said, right?
yeah, but I think if this technically counts as combat, then I can add +3 because Elliot is tough.
Okay, so you got a 9.
Yeah.
Okay. Normally that would matter, but this thing rolls a d12 for fight, and it rolled a 12, so its dice exploded, and then it rolled another 7. So it got a 19.
Oh, God. Well, it's been fun, y'all. It's been fun to play for like the past couple hours.
I want to make sure, because the 10 is the really bad one. Did you add the +1? We get a +1, I think, to everything just for being teens for brawn.
Oh, do
For
we?
any
Yeah,
brawn roll, I believe
brawn and
so.
fight for being teens.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that. Then it's a 10, but I
Okay.
still don't know if that would help.
Maybe slightly
It
better.
stops you
It is
full dying.
significant. So I'll give you two choices. Either you are severely wounded, or Elliot gets pulled up further into the tiles. But you are unharmed if you get pulled.
I'm unharmed if I get pulled.
You
Yeah,
don't
I think
actually
I'm
know if this thing is trying to kill people. I'll say that.
okay. I think to anybody on the ground, all of a sudden you just see Elliot like get pulled like a couple feet off the step ladder, and like his legs are like flailing, and you just hear like screaming.
And this thing looks at you as it grabs you, and it says, "Come on, I have somewhere to show you. It's a secret."
I'm gonna grab a fucking leg and I'm like, Kevin!
And then I think while Jazz and Kevin grab the legs, Casey looks down at Algernon and says, "Where's it coming from?" And like tries to use her brains to like pinpoint where the thing would be to pull Elliot, and then just jab a nearby broom or something up into it, like to try and dislodge it.
Sweet.
Give me a I'll say this is pretty easy actually, since you just heard this thing. You see kind of where it's coming from. DC 5 brains.
And I have the prepared feature. Can Algie have just like immediately have grabbed a broom from somewhere in the room with his prepared?
Yep. Yeah, you can just spend 2 adversity tokens, but yes.
Okay. Casey hasn't even finished asking before there is a broom in her hand.
And I got a 14 on brains.
You not only can locate this thing, but you can have one additional benefit of your choice that's wide ranging.
I think that up in the
Oh, I will say, if you spend an adversity token to make it to 15, the benefit goes from significant to major or altering the situation entirely.
Okay, I'll spend an adversity token because I get extra ones from being easygoing anyway. Yeah, so I think sorry, go ahead.
So not only do you now know where it is, the other thing you can notice and immediately pick up on is that as this thing reaches forward, you can immediately divine the location of where this thing must have come from the noises you heard earlier.
Okay.
And what direction it's been leaving and coming.
Sure, and then I just want to jab up with the broom to try and like dislodge Elliot from whatever it is doing to him.
This will be this thing's flight versus your fight.
I can't do it with brawn because I'm just trying to do brute strength.
Because it would be hilarious.
If you were trying to scare the thing with it rather than actually like bump it off, you could do brawn.
Okay, I'll do fight still. Sorry, what were you going to say, Charlie?
Oh, I decided Algie is smarter than my desire for hilarious kid shenanigans.
3. Casey is not a fighter.
Yeah, this thing rolled a 5, so it's hot moment. This thing, you try to bump this thing, but this thing like startles itself and goes, "Ah, what are you? Oh!" And then you see it looks to Elliot and its hand, so it just tell your friends to stop.
How's the pulling going? Are we getting anywhere with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because Elliot lost by so much, you can only catch one foot as he's getting pulled away.
Okay. I'm
being generous with even that.
Sure.
Yeah.
This would be, I will say, you can use brawn or fight, or if you're trying to scare this thing, you can justify another stat. if you're trying to lever against it somehow, if you can think of a way to do that, feel free to see if like you can make another stat work.
Okay, but it specifically said it wanted the others to stop.
Yeah.
I think Elliot has like some woodsy knowledge and is in his head is kind of like, this is a wild creature, but I can communicate it with it. So I think Elliot's just gonna say, what do you want?
All of its motions are very stiff. You don't read it as hostile. It's very stiff though. It's very quick.
Okay.
It immediately relaxes and it looks to you and it just like as it's holding you, it just says help.
Oh God.
And it's going to say, and it's going to say something else here.
Are we privy to this conversation, or?
Yeah, you guys can all hear this thing. This thing is loud.
So you can hear it, but you don't see what Elliot's looking at. Is that
Right?
what I
Do we
understand?
recognize that it is Ashlyn's voice?
Yes. Yeah, it's her voice. It is her panicked voice.
Oh man. Okay.
I'm still like holding. I guess like I'm holding like 1 foot, like otherwise dangling. But
What did
if
you get
Elliot's
on
no longer flailing, then I guess I'm like relaxed a little bit. But I'm not letting go of his foot for right now.
You don't think this, Elliot, you don't think even if you had resisted, it would have been trying to hurt you. It just doesn't know what it's doing with its body.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's like, it seems like it might still be this girl, maybe, like, but it's, I don't know, like it's not intentionally trying to like harm Elliot, and Elliot can realize that. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Elliot's gonna call down and say, it's that girl, Ashlyn, the freshman, but something
What?
is, something's not right up here.
Understatement of the century.
It looks to you and it says, am I doing something wrong?
Elliot says, no. I was just a little startled to be pulled into the ceiling. That's all.
It looks behind itself and you guys can all hear something moving behind it.
Fuck no.
Ashlyn, why don't you come down with Elliot and we can talk?
Elliot says, maybe you could let me go and we could talk to you through the ceiling. Maybe you should stay up there.
Okay. Let's go. She lets go of you.
I drag Elliot down.
Could only Elliot hear the thing that's also in the ceiling, or was that loud enough for everyone?
It's just Elliot that can hear it. I'll say with your bonus that you got on that super good brains check, you can also hear it. Your hearing is still like tuned in enough.
Alright. I'm pulling Algie towards Miles and Jessica and saying like, there's like a big thing in the ceiling, so it's probably better if you're not in this room with a bunch of kids. And like kind of thrust Algie towards that group.
Algie's nodding seriously at them, like you shouldn't have kids around here. Definitely not. It's a bad idea. And then he just like is completely startled to get shoved into that group.
Wait, did you push Algernon further into the room or out of the room?
No, like towards the other group of kids that are in here, like huddled around. Because
Elliot's gonna like interrupt you and is like, no, everyone needs to get out of here, except, and like Elliot will point at Jazz, Kevin, and I guess Casey too, because Casey's like the only adult here.
Yeah.
But is gonna like actively is trying to like shoo the kids out.
He is glaring at Elliot the whole time, and he like reaches back to grab Casey's hand again.
I don't think Casey let go of Algie. Like.
Oh.
Okay, so Algie's still there despite the shooing. Okay.
Miles and Jessica are pretty willing to, as long as like. Actually, I think Jessica's willing to like pull the kids out as like she's being told to, as long as everybody agrees.
Yeah.
But Miles is like, man, if something comes, I want to be here.
Okay. I think that once all the kids leave, except for Algie, obviously, Elliot's gonna lock the door and say, okay, Ashlyn, why don't you come down so you can talk with us?
Do you give us any prep or any warning for what the fuck is about
I'm
to
just
happen?
looking at Elliot like, what the fuck, man?
I think specifically because Elliot has like really bad charm as like the D4, that Elliot's not the best of considering other people's emotions like actively. Like he's focused on this girl that's up in the ceiling and is not like, what would happen if this girl with her eye falling out and her arms rotting just falls out of the ceiling? It's just like, yeah, come on down and make it quick. I thought I heard something else. And that is said to the group.
Oh, hell no.
She's gonna poke her head out first, and she's gonna say, "Hey, to you, Elliot, as like you're down there, they're gonna be afraid." And they point to the group, and like their hand, like the desiccated, almost claw hand points down to them, and then she points to herself and she says, "Not danger." And then she reaches a hand back up and points to somewhere deeper in the like up and behind there, and she says, "Danger." And you see, like this hand is almost like 6 feet long in length, like it can almost reach the floor from the bottom.
Sorry,
like
the hand or the whole
the hand and arm, the whole arm,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the whole. This thing is like obviously like her whole body is like much longer than you'd expect.
Yeah, I think Elliot says to everyone else, I think it's important that you stay in this room, so we will make sure that no one comes in and sees you except for us, okay?
Okay. She points to the lights and she says, "It messes with electronics."
Wait, what did Algie just say?
Is she naked or something?
Elliot says, shut the fuck up.
I really like that you
Damn.
as Marissa wanted to know what Algie said, so you could then just annihilate Algie.
I think that Elliot is swinging back and forth between, like, I am terrified and I find consistency in telling Algie to shut the fuck up. So that's what I'm going to do as my stress response.
You need a mantra, but your mantra cannot be "shut the fuck up."
Casey.
Algie,
Casey.
shut the fuck up, Algie.
Yes.
Casey,
Yes. Hi.
your boss is always talking about weird shit. Do you know what the fuck this is?
I think Katie probably doesn't know. Can I make a brains roll to see if I know about this thing in particular?
DC 15, but there won't be a penalty if you fail, but your boss might have said something.
Yeah. He talks about a lot of stuff, so she has to, like, catalog a bunch in a second.
And I'll say, this is a planned action, so anybody can be giving adversity tokens.
That's a 1. On my
I'll give-
D20.
Never mind.
Never mind.
Never mind. I was gonna give you 1.
Okay.
Rip.
You don't know about this thing at all. You never heard of it.
Do I get adversity tokens for that one, or not? Because it was not a
Yes, you do.
Okay. Casey goes, no, he, like, talks a lot of garbage, but, like, there is some weird stuff happening here beyond this. I can tell you all about it later, but, yeah, your friend, Elliot, should come down because that bigger thing sounded significantly bigger and wasn't trying to talk to us and ask us things.
As Ashley crawls down and this thing gets closer, everybody can hear the thrum now. The lights, including your flashlight, snap off.
What about Algie's glow stick?
It remains on.
Algie starts passing out glow sticks.
I think...
Casey, you're lighter.
And you guys do see, just before the flashlights turn off, you do see the full size of the Ashley creatures start crawling down. It's basically if you took like a human and all, you changed like the color of the flesh ash and the texture to be like almost like a leathery gray black, as if it's like stretched out over the bones. and the legs are like 7 to 8 feet long on their own. The torso is like 4 feet. The arms are those like from like shoulder to like head tip of hands like 6 feet, and then the head is just a normal kid's head, like a normal freshman.
Hey guys,
Then,
new
like,
sleep paralysis
all the-
demon just dropped.
All right,
Fuck
Casey.
me, Sarah.
Casey was about to pull out a box of matches because she doesn't use lighters because they're trite. But
hipsters.
when Algie, like when the lights go off for the first time, I feel like Algie's probably been gripping Casey's hands at different strengths, like Elliot showing up and stuff. This is the first time that Casey, when the lights drop, is like white knuckling a 10-year-old's hand, just breaking a 10-year-old's hand, until like the glow stick pops up, and then she's like, "Okay, yeah, we have not talked about that on the radio while I've been there. It's okay. It's got a kid's face."
You might have heard of the creature. As you hear the thing crawling towards you, you hear this enormous size. You might have heard of the creature pursuing it, however.
Oh, homie, no.
I'm sure it's fine.
Do I make another roll?
Yes. Make me DC 10, Brains, because this one's...
Why didn't I just... is this a snap action or planned action?
Yes, snap. As you're thinking if you know this right as this thing gets closer.
A 1.
Oh,
I actually
You
ran out of my
best
tokens that I
fucking
was
with me.
using for adversity tokens, because I have 7 now. So...
If you dump 5 into that and everybody pools like 4 into it as well, you could make it.
No,
It is
it was a
counting
snap
that.
one, right?
Oh no, snap decision. Yeah.
Yeah, because I would have taken
Okay.
taken half if it was a planned one.
Alright.
Remind me how intuitive works.
So intuitive, I believe.
You spend an adversity token, and you can ask
Ooh, I
one
see.
question.
Surrounding NPC or the like, I'll answer honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. So does intuitive work for that?
Yes.
Do you
Charlie?
have 2 adversity tokens?
It's 1.
It's
It's
one.
only one.
It's one,
Also,
okay.
Charlie.
That was
Hi.
2.
Yeah.
I feel like Algernon and Casey are sort of like a team in this case. I also have
Yeah.
intuitive, so if Sarah's fine with it, I'm happy
Yeah.
to use the one of my many adversity tokens to give you a question.
Technically, this is a different. Technically, this is a different check, but I'll say if Algernon is willing to coordinate it with Casey, I'll let you re-roll the check for brains.
Algernon will happily coordinate it with the however it needs to be done. So is that still spending the token?
Yeah, we
Yes.
don't need to
Okay.
make a roll for intuitive, right? It just happens.
Yeah. I'm saying you'll not only get the intuitive information, you can choose to get the full breadth of intuitive information, or you can use this to re-roll Casey's brains check.
Because the intuitive won't tell us as
Yeah.
specific things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what
Reasonable.
Algernon is doing is he's like holding Casey's hand really tightly, and he's like, come on, you gotta know this. Things that are found in the woods are often, and he's just like shattering this list of stuff that he knows that should actually be in the woods versus what is actually up there to help her re-roll that brains.
Okay. And
And as you're saying, what'd you get?
hang on, I didn't roll it yet. Well, I did get an 8, so I'll spend 6 adversity tokens. Is it 3 or 4 that's the next threshold after just passing it?
4.
I'll spend 6 to make it a 14.
Okay. Sorry, it's 5. You only use it's 13 is the next threshold.
I'll spend 5.
As you do this, you describe all of this, and while you may not recognize the creature in front of you, you recognize this is obviously Ashley is Algernon. You know animals, you know insects. This is a prey creature, not a predator. Just by the way it's built, the long lanky limbs, this thing is meant to run and dash and hunt. It can fight, but this thing is not meant to, like, however you want to compare it, you can divine that. And whatever is crashing after it is probably built to hunt something like that.
So whatever So whatever eats that's gotta be really big, right?
Oh, you had to say it. You had to say it.
Casey looks at Algernon, who's like clearly very smart, and says more for everybody else. Yeah, but like sometimes things eat things in pieces, so it might be smaller. Or snakes are pretty small and they like unhinge their jaws, so it might not be that big. But it's like looking at Algernon going, "This thing's fucking huge." Like,
So,
And
you think
Algernon's looking back at her like, was that supposed to be comforting? Like, even in his like.
so? I will say, with that next tier, you can decipher from the story what this thing is logically hunting, just like as a result. What this thing is you think this is a classic demon. Like, this is like, you've heard stories about this. You think whatever this is, whatever Ashley is probably something like your boss will tell you, like, oh, there's forest creatures, there's forest spirits. That has all to do with kids. Sometimes they mimic kids. And they like to warn humans. And whatever is hunting this thing is a classic honest-to-God near biblical demon coming after it.
well, I'm not going to share that information because I feel like that's not useful to give to anyone. Like, if I don't, like, I don't think anyone needs to know this is a full demon.
And you know what this thing will probably look like? It's probably going to have a long forked tail, it's going to have a lot of big teeth, it's going to have horns, and it's going to have some kind of weapon.
Cool.
Hold on, I need to time period check a thing. Be like to Jazz, be like, you ever play Diablo? You know, that game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh, good. You'll know what to expect. And she like pulls the knife out, and it's just like in front of her.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Are you almost? You'll see. And she's like thinking back to when she went to church when she was 5. It's like, church didn't prepare me for this.
Okay, I'll let you guys choose if you want to, but Miles is also in the room, and the way I run NPCs in situations like this, you guys can choose to control him. He's beefy as hell. He can take a hit, and he's here to stay the mile. Do you guys want to run him, or do you want me to run him?
I'm okay with running him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run him straight up to the front.
Yeah, we don't. I don't think any of us have a particular affection to Miles.
We got a kid, whatever Casey is, Jazz, who is like.
Crowbar from him, by the way?
If we took the crowbar, surely we gave it back when he was like, "I'm gonna stay and be here."
Okay.
I was gonna
Yeah.
give it to Elliot, but I don't think he ever took it.
Elliot has a knife already in his backpack, which is extremely convenient.
Rules for shouldn't we run?
Oh yeah,
Run
like,
where? In the dark?
In
Yeah.
the dark.
I think Casey like smiles at Algie and says, "Well, thanks for your help," and we'll go and unlock the door and just like push Algie out of it if Algie is like willing to be jettisoned out of this room.
The door's gonna be
As
locked.
you start unlocking the door, this thing busts through the ceiling tiles.
Even
Oh,
better.
I was gonna say, if it comes through the floor, we have sorely misjudged our tactics.
This thing crashes through the floor tiles. You guys can't see it, but you can hear this thing scream out a snake-like hiss. And this
glow
thing
sticks.
fills the room like it is almost ear-piercingly loud. And then you can hear Ashley from the other room make the same noise, like in a much heavier tone, like it's mimicking it to like say like I'm also here. And you see Ashley running away from this. Like you can feel and like hear the body of the motion suddenly like push away. Like she's so large, you don't need to echolocate to figure out that she's not willing to fight this thing.
so Ashley just dipped,
Yeah, she's not willing to fight it.
So,
but she's still in
are we in
the
a locked
room.
room?
Yeah. Yeah, she's going to the other side. Like, she's going to a wall and, like, laying flat against it almost.
Okay,
Helpful.
Miles has got the crowbar, and as soon as this thing drops, is going to take a swing at it.
Cool. Can we, like, throw a glow stick over to light the area for him?
Yeah. What do you guys want to do to help?
Throw a glow stick.
You can try and stab at it. That kind of thing.
So it's like a full demon.
Yep.
I think nothing in Casey's wildest imagination of what, like, conspiracies might be happening in this place were, like, religious. So she has no concept. She's like, I don't really know how to deal with a demon. But she'll just throw the glow stick across and, like, try and make sure that Algie is behind her at all times.
Happily behind her at all times.
As he...
I'm gonna reach down to where I remember the soda can being after I chucked it. And just start shaking the can to get ready to point it at the thing.
And they shall fear the spray of coke, and they shall tremble.
Kevin and Elliot, are you guys doing anything?
I think that Elliot has pulled out their knife, and it's like pretty big. Like it's something that he would probably use in the woods to like hack away branches and things like that, but not like full machete. But I think Elliot is smart enough to know not to run at a demon in the dark. So Elliot is kind of standing in the front of the group, but not running at the demon.
So fights in this are going to be a little different. So are you going to try and use the soda actively as soon as, like, are you going to try and use this as this first fight, our sort of like round pops?
Yeah, and my goal is to kind of blind it, or at least like distract it, and maybe like give us some like smell-based location.
Fuck. I'll let you do fight. This would be weird, but I would also let this be brains, I guess.
Okay, I'll take brains. I think that's kind of what I was going for.
This thing is going to be remarkably easy to hit compared to the other creature.
Okay, it's going to be a 6.
Yeah, you nail this thing with it. What does it look like?
Yeah, so I've just like shook up this Coke can, which has already been kind of shook up because I threw it at something earlier. You all hear the classic like of soda being opened, and it's like an immediate like spray forward straight into. I'm aiming where I think the head might be. I know we can't really see, so I don't know how this thing reacts, but I hit it like straight on until the can starts to like trickle out, having been emptied of its contents.
All right. As you do this, I'm gonna roll this. I'm gonna say this is a weird one. Normally, you have like fight versus brawn or something, but I feel like this is just a direct fight versus fight roll. As these are just two different people trying to beat the shit out of each other who can do it harder faster. If that
Come on,
makes sense.
Miles. Yeah. Use that stoner strength.
Oh my god. Okay, they both rolled 20s on the die.
Oh shit. They just kill each other at the end.
Both dice explode again.
Basically, they're both at 0 still.
Come on, Miles.
Oh,
God
no.
bless.
Decapitate each other in the same moment.
It's just samurai style, like whoosh, somehow with the crowbar.
Okay. Okay, I need to flip through to see what this means.
Oh,
I don't think
Lord.
I've had this happen before. Okay, this is slight improv. Miles won the roll by 1.
Nice.
It was
my coach
it was
very
a
helped.
it was a 38 and a 39 total.
Wow. They've beaten on each other.
So I see this thing drops down, and the soda can hits the demon on the eye, and it looks over at you for a second, and it's like fully ready to just like this thing's like mouth is ready to just full on decapitate Miles in one bite, but it looks over for just long enough. Miles swings the crowbar and just cracks this thing on the skull as hard as he can.
Hell yeah.
And this thing doesn't like get floored, but it screams and hisses and was clearly not expecting this scenario at all.
It's good we know it can get hurt.
It is wild and afraid and has now realized it's been surrounded. And it's going to let out a ear-shattering scream, and I need everybody to roll me crit DC 13.
Oh, great.
Well,
And put your rolls in chat.
I wonder which of
Yeah.
us put a 20 in grid.
Right? Man.
I got a 6.
If I get my 12, okay.
Alright, it exploded once. 7. That's sad.
I got. Did you say that we can add +1 because we're teenagers?
No, it's
Only
it's brawn and fight.
Yeah,
Oh,
Braun.
Oh, okay. Okay. Then if that's the case, I got a 5. And I think if I
Okay.
lose it, it says I can add +3 to a negative number.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 7.
I think I'm gonna add my adversity token to just meet that.
Yeah, so you got a 13? A 13. Ugh.
I will.
Oh no, not
Let's see.
to just meet it, but is it fail by 1 or is fail by 1 different from fail by 2?
Yes.
No. Fail by 1 to 4, or fail by 1 to 4, fail by 5 to 9, fail by 10 to 14, or fail by 15 to
Okay.
4.
Then I'm just gonna fail it.
I'm gonna.
Wait, let me do math.
Let me see.
I failed by 5, I think, because adding my 3 gives me an 8. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
so that would be...
I'm sure it's fine. Everything's fine.
I'm gonna spend 2 adversity tokens to bump it up.
That's
so
a good
I can
point.
Add a 9 away from, so it's not disaster.
I
Put
will.
your final rolls in the rolls channel if you want.
I'll do the same, and I'll edit mine. I wasn't thinking about the difference. So I ended up with. I rolled a 7, but I'm gonna end up with a 9.
Alright.
I also will do that because I get the 2 tokens back straight away. So,
Yeah, easy
All
going
right.
is nice.
yeah.
Oh wait, yeah. So I got an adversity. Now, how does that register? Do I get the adversity token already
After.
for failing?
Yeah,
After,
yeah.
okay.
What did you get, Charlie, for your final roll?
11.
Okay, if you
think
spend 2 adversity tokens, you'd succeed.
Right, but I don't have 2 adversity tokens until this.
Okay. The only person... Okay, so the 2 people that are sort of left standing, the 3 are Algie, Casey, and Jazz. I'm going to say Kevin and Elliot, you both, this scream is so bad, you just hit the floor covering your ears. The 3 of you that only failed by some, you can't really react as this thing starts hissing and screeching. And it's going to lift itself back up into the ceiling, and instead of trying to run away, it's going to puncture a hole straight through the ceiling of the building and just full on bolt. It is gone. But you guys can see the hole it makes, and you can see what direction it leaves from, which is north.
Is that the direction Ashland went?
No,
Still in the
Ashlyn
room.
is still pressed
Still
up
in the
against the
room.
wall.
Oh,
She's
okay.
still pressed against the wall. This thing leaves once it realizes it's not going to have an easy fight.
What time of day is it? I should have asked this before when the lights all went off and it was super
The
dark.
I feel like it's a Friday.
It has a Friday feel to it. This demon
I
fighting.
will
Yeah.
It is a Friday, yeah.
But like it's during the school day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is the light outside like through the hole in the roof? Is it daylight? Because the auditorium was pitch black, right?
Yeah, it is daylight pouring through.
But the auditorium, would that normally have windows?
It's pretty
Nah.
common for like gyms and stuff to not have
is
windows
wrong
really,
with your
apart from the
country?
doors.
Why would you
know,
not
Hey,
allow
man.
windows are. They
Don't
actually
blame
filed prison
me.
maps. Like
I
they
mean-
filed prison build,
Yeah.
like, build plans.
Awful.
The two people who failed by 5 or more, you are going to take an ongoing fear to demons.
Cool.
At least,
Okay.
You said by 5
Perfectly
or more?
reasonable response.
Yeah,
if you-
I think that's you and I.
Yeah.
Okay.
Better than,
Uh-uh.
the alternative, I guess.
So,
I look at
the thing is,
Casey. I'm like,
throw in your mind.
Diablo?
Yeah, it was a fucking demon, right? Like, oh, I should have said the last boss, I guess. But like, anyway, we
Next time
dealt
I'll
with
bring
it.
my fucking greatsword and healing pots. God fucking damn it.
And I'm like looking at like Kevin like writhing on the floor. I'm like, dude, are you okay, man?
Also, this doesn't really solve our
I'm
problem.
Jewish, but
Wait,
And-
hold on. I absolutely need to hear this.
Yeah, I need to know the end of I'm Jewish, but also we have to end in
maybe
like 5 minutes, so this should be the end. I'm
Yeah.
Jewish, but hard cut.
Yeah.
okay.
Come on, Charlie, close it out.
Maybe you shouldn't say those things with an actual demon around. And he like points at Jazz and her.
Oh, I mean, like,
I'm
You
sorry,
know.
in nomine patre, and she like starts going
yeah,
into this.
if
Is that what you wanted?
hold on, if
No,
God
I'm Jewish. I just said that.
if God existed, do you think it would just let a demon run loose in a school with a bunch of kids?
I recover enough to
again,
say,
I'm
okay,
Jewish,
Nietzsche.
Casey kind of gives you a look that's like, I know what you're doing to my friend Jazz. All in one look.
Listen, I'm neither a Catholic priest nor a young boy, so I'm not really cut out for this.
Alright, also,
What?
And with that, folks,
yeah,
I think that's a good note to end on.
it's, uh,
Oh, yeah, boy.
Okay.
good night, y'all.
Good night.
Good night, sleep tight.
yeah, we
Don't
will,
let the frock
we'll
bite.
be,
Perfect ending.
we'll be back next
will-
week for more of this. But yeah, it's very interesting playing.
This
in
is
the
great.
real
I
world.
liked
Oh my
it.
god.
It was funny.
Yeah.
Alright,
Uh,
bye everyone.
Bye.
Enjoy your lunch.
bye.